here at the Temple of Mysteries, I give you the truth about history and events that you were never meant to know. So please sit back and allow me to enlighten you.
Dope it in my last one.
Back
to the lab. I'm rolling to the cash come. I'm on my cool shit, new bitch. Dope it in my last one.
Back to the lab, and this is doper than my last one. The lab is otherwise known as Temple of Mysteries, where we open up the scrolls and the archives and break down everything that's going on today and has gone on in the past throughout history. Break it down to its base components so you can actually understand it, while simultaneously giving you back your lost history that has been discarded and dismissed for thousands of years. So that's what this is about, man. We trying to, give the brothers back what we had, that knowledge. You know what I'm saying? That old knowledge that we knew what was going on. We knew what had happened. We knew how we got where we were at and what we needed to do and to fix to get a little higher. A lot of that's been lost. So with this is like planting seeds. You know what I'm saying? So this is like putting bits and pieces out there in the hopes that somebody, like you plant that little seed, okay, I could plant the seed, I drop this stuff all over the place. And then somebody come along and water it, and then something grow and blossom and turn into something that we haven't had before. See what I'm saying? So, we can move higher and higher. Jack and the beanstalk. You know what I'm saying? You get once you get it to grow, then you can climb up on there and go higher and higher. And that's what I'm trying to do with this. So hopefully somebody out there will get hold of some of these seeds, water them, cultivate them, and then use that information to climb higher and break through that proverbial glass ceiling that they say is out there that represents kind of like as high as you can go. You're not supposed to go beyond this level. They start putting blockers out there at that point. But I think that, you can get pretty high without necessarily hitting that ceiling. We got a long way to go before we have to start worrying about that. That's when you up into the millions and millions and millions of dollars, you know what I'm saying? Billions. And the ones that you see up there now are the ones that they put up there. So in terms of coming from the grassroots and getting up on your own, we can't complain yet because, we're not even in the range where they would notice that we exist, you know what I'm saying? So this is a matter of trying to get into those areas, all right? So in the effort to kind of keep people down in that range, a lot of our information has been dismissed and discarded for thousands of years, and this has kept the masses living in confusion and turmoil. And we never understood why. Like, man, what's going on? Why is it so hard out here? What's really happening? I can't get this. I can't get, why is it like this? It's not by accident. All right. So, I know I kind of just jumped in on it, but I don't know, man. Sometimes I get excited about the thing, about just putting it out here, and I'm seeing people like responding to it. I'm getting some feedback now. Now the next move is to get people to interact with the online, utilities and services that I have out there for you. But, one step at a time. It's cool. So, but I do hear back from people that have seen the work, seen the videos, and it's all positive. It's all love. You know what I'm saying? So that's what this is about. Just every now and then you come across somebody that you don't even know. Somebody, hey man, check this out, check that out. You see them again months later, and they're like, yeah, man, I checked it out, man. I watching your show, man. That's dope. That's what's up. It's like, wow, that's cool. That makes it all worthwhile. For me, that makes it all worth it. You don't even have to deal with so much the money. Yeah, that's cool, but to know that you're reaching the people That's really what this is all about. To reach the people, man, to get through and to get people, the brothers in particular, to open up their minds and to go into higher levels. That makes it worthwhile. So, yeah. So for a long time, we just been in a lot of confusion and turmoil. And then y'all heard me talk about this, and we got to keep going back into it because it is the foundation of a lot of the problems today. So when the black women exiled the fathers out of the homes, and this started back in the 1940s, all right, this peaked in the 80s and 90s, and then boom, the black communities from coast to coast were just obliterated. And it was like a flood of black children flowing out of these dysfunctional, single-parent, abusive homes and filled the streets. They filled the streets of America. You know what I'm saying? They just came flooding out of the hoods and the projects, man. No father, wild, crazy, going, just going nuts, bouncing off the walls. Right? And that's why. They didn't have fathers. They had no discipline. They had no direction. They had no authority over them. They don't recognize the mother as an authority figure because she's not as fast as them. She's not as strong as them. They are beholden to her for a time when they're younger and too weak to do anything or know any better. But as they get older, they start to realize that she really can't do anything to stop them from anything that they want to do. And that's when they start getting out of hand. Now you see these mobs out here running around, jumping on innocent people, robbing stores, beating up the elderly, beating up each other, and just wreaking carnage and havoc across the land. So that's why these types of shows are so important. And it's so important for brothers such as yourself to watch these kinds of shows and to get that information, get that knowledge, and get the science and all of that we used to get at home when we had those great fathers, great mothers, that took care of house and home. Amazing grandparents, you know what I'm saying? Great uncles and cousins, and cousins hanging out cool, y'all have fun with them and stuff, We had a lot of good friends and stuff back then too. You could just hang out all day, man, just laughing and having a good time the whole time, right? But, so, that's gone. But for those that watch this channel, I got you. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you what you were really never meant to know. I'm gonna tell it to you. I'm gonna give you everything I can. Now I can't do it by myself though, so that's why I need you to participate and to help to support a platform that's supporting you. You feel me? So it's like somebody trying to pick you up and you let your legs go weak and they gotta drag you. You know what I'm saying? Don't make people have to drag you, man. Get up, walk, follow the information, look up information. If I put something out there, look it up, man. Check it out, research it. If I say, hey, here's a website, check it out. Go to the website. If I tell you to sign up, register, go register. I'm telling you, if you do these different things, these little steps down the road, you'll get big rewards. But you got to start somewhere, and so that's what this is about, is to give you a start. For those that need it, for those that never had access, for people that felt like nobody ever cared, felt like you was just out here lost. I'm telling you, it might sound like he just on there, blah, blah, blah. It might sound like it's an overwhelming amount of information. But if you follow what I'm saying, if you do the steps I'm telling you, you'll start to see changes in your life. You'll have access to things that you were never supposed to have access to. And you don't need people to come in and rescue you or open up the doors for you or nothing like that. It's out there, but you just don't know it's out there and you don't know where it's at. And I'm telling you where to find it. Just put it like that. All right? So, yeah, so we move into these higher levels, as we continue to move, we go into higher and higher levels of information. See? So that's why you see, we ain't on here just talking about women this and the women that, the women did this, women doing that. Like, there's some shows, that's all they talk about is females, women, what's going on with the dating scene, and or they just talking about politics, or you got these other ones just talking about slavery, or the violence that's going on out here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's got its place. Somebody has to put that out there too, you know. But this is more like a university. So we deal with universal knowledge. You know what I'm saying? We have to cross over all areas or it's unbalanced. All right? And that's actually where the term university came from. So we already just jumping in there, man. The term university was taken from the commentary of universal knowledge. This is like kind of a doctrine of universal knowledge, or rather, knowledge of all things, which came from your ancestors. See? That came from your ancestors, brother, out there in ancient Egypt, with the ancient temple of Waset, is what it was called. The first university, which they started building in 1392 BCE, and supposedly it took them almost 180 years to build it. I don't know about that. It like, when they put these wild number of years on here to say how long it took them to build these buildings, they don't even know how they built the buildings. So how can they determine how long it took them to build it? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know about that. As I recall reading an ancient text that was talking about, well, it wasn't an ancient text, but it was a text that was dealing with ancient information. And they were dealing with supposedly a document or scroll that was found from that era that had said something to the effect that these huge, massive temples and buildings were erected practically overnight, or in some cases, literally overnight. And some of them, they said, were built from the top down. How do you build a building from the top down, you know? So it sounds to me these individuals may have been using levitation technology. They may have been cutting the stones using high frequency sound waves, you know what I'm saying? So the same way that somebody can sing and shatter glass with their voice, they may have been using that same type of technology. They're discovering it. They're using it now. They can cut steel and cut stone with water jets. They also have where certain frequencies can be generated and can cut through solid objects with you just get the right frequency.
They're developing technologies right now, and they have been. I've been sitting on this for 7 years without talking about it. And here's the basic idea. Resonance frequencies. Everything vibrates. If we had an electric razor, plugged it in, turned it on, set it on this table, it's going to move around, isn't it? That's the beginning of the concept, because it's vibrating. Everything vibrates at a frequency, and if you know that frequency, you can control things. And I think that's the basic idea of what we're looking at here.
So somehow, through this technology, they're able to move stones or cut stones or all the above?
All the above. And it's all based upon the ancient numbers.
So these ancients may have had that technology, is what it seems like. And they themselves declared that these buildings were built from the top down, which would mean that they had levitation technology. So, one man could levitate this huge, massive stone and push it with 2 fingers. You see what I'm saying? So if they were using stuff like that, it would not have taken them 180 years to build it. So I just wanted to put that out there. So we going way out there, but I just wanted to put out there that, if you like getting into that heavy, real info, and you want to keep going into higher and higher levels of knowledge, okay, you can first subscribe. If you haven't already done it, subscribe to this channel. And that's free. Don't cost nothing. And it helps me know, as I see the subscribers going up, lets me know that I'm getting through to the people. All right. You can also click the like button, which is also free and helps my videos get sent out to other people who I may not normally have access to. So you can also get heavier and hit our new Cash App. All right, $ BF Studios. All right, you can send $1, $2, $5, send $1,000, whatever you want, because all of it goes right back into creating more content for you. See? So you see that I already hit you with your own social platform. Backtoblack.net. A lot of people was complaining about Facebook. They were complaining about Twitter. They was complaining about Instagram. You know, they complain about everything, man. And just everything they get on, it's like, man, it's not right. They do over moderation. They cut your text out, man. You can't say nothing. Well, get on backtoblack.net. It's not an app. It's not for your phone. You can use it on your phone, but it crunches the screen down so much that it just ends up a little column on your phone and you really don't see the whole thing. Get a laptop. You got to get yourself some technology. You cannot stray too far from technology and just get to where you just on these little phones like this all day. You know, you can't produce anything like that. You can't create anything like that. Laptop is about as low as you want to go. Tablets will work, but the tablet still is not the same. It has more capability, more functionality than a phone, but your tablet is not going to be able to allow you to become productive, right? And that's really what this has got to be about. You have to start becoming productive. That's how you start moving up. You see, it's all connected, man. So that's one of the steps. You want to move up, get deeper and deeper with technology. Get yourself a laptop and then use your laptop to start connecting into these platforms that I'm telling you about. Black.net, bfstudios.net. You know what I'm saying? Start going in. And when you can access those correctly, as we move on with this, I'll tell you how to use it to get into other levels of productivity that you never knew existed. So, yeah, so you got backtoblack.net, you got this channel, you got this YouTube channel, and you also got the Black-oriented horror audio book, all right? So check that out, man. We were talking about that early on. The audio book that I put out there for you is kind of a black horror story, and a lot of y'all like that kind of, you know, more action type, suspense thriller horror. You know, check it out. It's deep. it's deep. Some of y'all might not even know what an audiobook is. That blew me away to find out that there were people there was a lot of brothers I came across that when I said had made mention of an audiobook, they don't know what I was talking about. They're like, what do you mean audio? I was like, you never heard of audiobook? No, I never heard. Damn. You know, because I mean, this is normal stuff to me. And then the more people I talk to now, you know, with the platform out there, I come across a little bit more people and find out that they're so far behind what's going on out here. They don't know what the hell I'm talking about. You know, audio. Yeah, you know, you got full production audio, then you have a narration level audio. Oh, okay, you know, they don't know what I'm saying. So, it's basically like, you know, I'll tell you like this. It's basically like a movie that you watch in your mind. Okay, it's written in such a way that as it plays, you're listening to this individual tell a story. You're listening to people play out character roles. And it creates visuals for you mentally so that you can almost see it while you're listening. You're listening and then your mind begins to create the images. But it's just people talking or one person talking. See what I'm saying? So now this first one that I put out there is a little over 3 hours long. That's as long as some of the longest movies in Hollywood. The first Lord of the Rings movie was 3 hours long. The audio book, Paper Thin, which is the name of the one, that's what we're dealing with here. That's the one that Blackview Studios put out. Paper Thin is even longer. It's about 3.5 hours long. All right, and it's a lot scarier. So it really is. It's got some stuff in there that's gonna freak you out. All right. Some of these audiobooks can be 10 to 20 hours long. And they can take weeks to get to the end. You just listen to it on your way to work. When you get home, you listen to it at work. It might take you 1 or 2 weeks to get all the way through that. Now, those are cool, but like I said, a lot of us are new to this thing. So, you know, they're not ready to invest into a 20-hour, you know, audiobook. They can't connect to it like that. And then to be able to stay focused for hours and hours, You got to get your mind to see. We've lost that. We had it years ago, but our people today, we've lost that focus where you can stay like in tune to something, connected for 4, 5, 6 hours straight, even 2 or 3 hours straight. People got to stop a movie and go off and do stuff and come back every 30 or 40 minutes. They can't focus. The mind is all scattered, and the kids are running around, the dogs are running around, the cats are climbing up the drapes, and they live in chaos. So they can't focus on something like that for hours and hours, and you lose so much when you can't do it. Okay, so that's something. I'm giving you these seeds, man. That's something else you got to work on. If you can't do it, learn to do it. Force yourself to be able to focus on something for 15 minutes at first, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. See if you can do it. Start small. Start with 10, 15 minutes. See if you can stay focused. If you can't stay focused on reading a book, listening to an audio book for more than 15, 20 minutes, that's a problem. You'll never be able to get anywhere if that's all you got. 15, 20 minutes of focus. Some people go to read something, and then we do all this texting and typing and stuff, and I put on something, it'd be like maybe 2 or 3 sentences, maybe like a single paragraph, okay? And that's really about the extent that people can handle is a single paragraph of text about that long. If you write more than that, and they got to start scrolling and read your text, they get mad, man. I ain't reading all of that. Damn, so 2 or 3 paragraphs is too much for you? That's somebody that's just struggling through life because they can't read more than 2 or 3 paragraphs without short-circuiting. They can't handle it. It's too much. See? So these are the things you got to start working on. All right? And if you're not there, get there. And you will begin to open up channels for yourself down the road. You'll be able to get into other fields of interest that generate income. Technology, computers require a lot of patience because you got to sit there and you're trying to get something to work and it's not working and error messages coming on the screen. You got to be able to figure out, to take time to sit down and calm down, figure out where's this error message coming from. You don't know, so you got to look it up on another computer because that one ain't working. So you use another computer, figure out, look up the error message. Why is it saying this? And it'll tell you it's because your sound card is going bad. Oh. Well, look, how do I fix the sound card? You know what I'm saying? It's a step by step. But that might be half your day. That was your day off. You might not get that working again. You might have started on at 10 o'clock in the morning. You might not get that working again until 10 o'clock at night. Not many people can focus like that. So being able to focus for extended periods, it gives you almost like superpowers, and it puts you heads and shoulders over the people who can't focus or who have narrow or small focus and they can't really get into they can't stay on any one thing for too long. Those individuals have cut themselves off at the knees, and they're trying to run a foot race. You see? So if you have longer focus, if you have extreme focus, extended focus, then you'll be able to develop almost superpowers. You'll be able to learn new languages. You'll be able to learn and master technology, the science, the mathematics, because all of those require dedication, time, years of being in it and doing, repetition, doing the same thing over and over and over, and then you go into experimental phases. You start trying things that have never been tried before and seeing if you can come up with new formulas. That's how you break out of the norm, the grassroots, the basics, okay? So start trying to do that, start focusing. And so one of the easiest ways to start trying to build your focus is audiobooks, because now you're just sitting there listening. You're driving, you're doing your thing, but you got this story playing in your earbuds, Use the earbuds. Don't try to do on the speakers. Use the earbuds because there's nuances in these stories, sound effects, background noise, all kinds of stuff that you won't pick up if it's just speakers blasting out into the room. You won't hear anything. So you'll miss a lot of it. Let me put it like that. So start with that. Now, so if you like thrillers, getting psyched out, check out Paper Thin by G.P. Hawks on audible.com. Check that out, and I think you will be surprised at being exposed to a new genre that you didn't even know existed, and how much fun you can have with that. So now, just on the side note with this one is a full production audiobook, which means that you don't just hear a narrator telling you that John walked outside and the traffic was bustling with children playing across the street. You don't just hear somebody say that. In full production, you hear his footsteps walking across the room, you hear the door open, and you can hear the traffic and the children playing. See? So it's all audio, it's all in your mind. And it's not just somebody telling you that there was a loud explosion. You hear the explosion in the story. That's the difference. So check that out. The last thing I want to mention on that is that I got a little surprise planned for you in case some of you all are hesitant and want to know more. You're not sure, you don't know if it's for you. I got something for you. It's a little gift. On Halloween, check this channel on Halloween night. Like when they get ready to start trick or treating, around 7 or 8, check this channel. I'm going to post the first 15, maybe 30 minutes of the audiobook on this channel for free. So you'll be able to just start actually check it out, listen to it, and see if you dig it. The first 15, maybe 30, I might do 30 minutes and post that right on this channel. Just tune in, come check it out. If you're subscribed, you'll get a notification that it's been posted, that there's a new upload to the channel, and you'll be able to get on here and listen to it and check it out. And I think you will be surprised. All right, so now, with that being said, I want to give a few shout outs to some of my new homies, channel supporters, right? People that support the movement that I recently came across. Brother Chief 44, what's going on, brother? What's going on, man? I appreciate you actually signing in the Back to Black, man, and posting on there, man. I appreciate that. I know it was a little while back, but I always meant to come back and hit you up for that, man, and show appreciation and respect for that. Brother Cabo, what's going on, man? Hey, I ain't forgot about you, man. I know it take me a while to get around to this, but you know I'm always gonna post something, man. It take a little bit, but you see me run around, man. It's hey, it's a lot going on, but we here now. I told you it was coming. I hit you with that last one. Here go another one. Boom. Keep it coming, man. Brother Cabo, what's happening? Yeah. We got a new one also. Brother Mike, what's going on to the African King out there kicking it, brother? What's going on, man? Stacking his papers. That's what's up, man. Glad to have you aboard, brother, and glad to see you up here in the temple chilling. You know what I'm saying? Checking out the info. So we appreciate that. But look, man, it's a lot of other ones out there, but these are the main ones. There's some new faces that have really shown love and support, so I had to hit them back with that. But all of these things that I have mentioned are works in progress. It's more coming, I'm telling you. And so don't forget to access backtoblack.net. Best view on a laptop or tablet, possibly a desktop computer, is really where I'm trying to get y'all to. I'm trying to get y'all up to the big boys, desktops. That's where it's at. If you don't have a desktop computer, you probably ain't producing nothing. Probably ain't doing nothing. You probably chilling. You probably just working until you, and it's, well, what you gonna do? I'm just gonna work. Well, what you gonna do what's your goal in your job? Well, I just want to go higher in a job and retire and chill. Oh, okay. That's it. You don't want to produce nothing. You don't want to have your own business. You don't want to. Everybody like the music. Come on, oh, the music, man. The music was so good in the '80s, man. And Luther and Patty and Michael Jackson and Prince. Oh my God, the music was so good. But it never crosses their mind to start making their own music, to go down and buy an instrument, start learning how to play the guitar, start learning how to play the keyboard, and then bring the funk era back. You know what I'm saying? Bring the soul R&B, bring that Luther sound back. So you ain't got to sound like Luther, but just get that Luther sound. You know what I'm saying? That Prince sound. Prince was eclectic. Like he could go from funk to hip hop to everything, man. He could cross the ranges, and we could possibly have some more Princes sleeping in the shadows that don't know that they could do it because they never tried. See what I'm saying? But you get you a desktop computer, you can go into production. You can start recording your music, editing it, digitally editing your music, using the mixers and all of that, getting into all of that. But if all you got is a little phone, you're stuck. You ain't doing nothing. All right. So yeah, I'm trying to get y'all off these phones, man. Y'all missing out on a whole world if you don't have a desktop computer or at least a laptop connected to a 25 to 30 inch monitor. All right. If you don't have the correct equipment to be productive and creative with, then you just remain in servitude for others who are creative. And you just stay like that as their servant until you die. How many people have died on the job? A job that they never even liked. They were just there making money, and they died doing that job. See? But back to black.net, also known as B2B, that is your privately owned black social networking platform, brothers. You can use that to post your thoughts and views without fear of moderators banning you and blocking you, as long as you don't get crazy with it. Be on there posting disgusting, illegal content, nothing like that. And we on there. Well, it was years ago, man. This one girl got on there and she started talking about the weed man was on his way over and she couldn't wait till the weed man showed up and she getting ready to buy a bag. And I had to tell her, I was like, look, man, you can't be talking about that on here. You know what I'm saying? I don't need nobody on here like moderating, monitoring, thinking that some kind of transactions and deals is going on through the site. We don't need that. So all your drug talk and your shit, whatever you into, keep that offline. Keep that to yourself. Don't come into. This is why we can't have nothing, because it's always somebody to come in with their bullshit, that garbage off the street that they into, and then they want to start hipping other people. No, you ain't hipping nobody to your garbage. You know what I'm saying? That's where the moderation kicks in. Bullshit. N shit. You know what I'm saying? N-word shit. That we can't, what I'm saying? We ain't in there discussing all of that and the WAP and all. Nah. That's where we draw the line. But other than that, you got political views, views about what's going on out here in society. That's different. Yeah, we can talk about that all day. So that's the difference with B2B. Back to black.net, B2B. That's the difference with that. Is you come here and it's not about that somebody don't like your opinion, so you're gonna get blocked and banned. It's just when you come in with N-word shit, that draws the line. But if you have viable opinions, views, thoughts, and considerations on various topics, you can go on up on that all day long. Okay? So yes, you can use this for different things. Particularly if you're like a passport brother, you got family and friends overseas, people you want to keep up with, hip them to this, because it's global. Hip them to it. She logs on. She's able to be on. You can live chat with her. Go in there, live chat with her. Maybe she's in the Philippines. Maybe she's in Thailand. You might be in New York. You might be in Florida. You might be Texas, wherever. You all can actually use that to communicate in real time. okay, in your own chat room right there on B2B. So it's just stuff like that. You know, this is what it is. All right. The live chat area is called True Chat, and it's actually our Discord server. But you can go in there, it'll say Discord, but you know we call it True Chat, and you go in there and register, log on, and if they do it also, you all meet in the same chat room, general chat, political chat, you know, video game chat, whatever you want to talk about. We y'all meet in that room, and you'll see their name, they see your name, you all can kick it. All right. So this is all free for you, brothers. This is make use of it, man. All right. That's all you right there. So by participating and supporting the studio, man, we just gonna have so much more coming for you down the road. Because now, once I have an established audience, I can tell you, hey, we just dropped a new movie. We got a movie out. Bam. You all can go right to that. We won't need no middleman. Now we have, you right there. We got a fan base. We got an audience right there. And then we can just start creating directly for that audience. Tell you, hey, go check this out. Go check that out. Here goes something else for you. Hit that. Check that out. You know, books, games, movies. Bam. Y'all got all of that direct access to it because you're a member. You're registered. You know what I'm saying? And I can have direct access to you and send all the information, content, media that I know you would be interested in. Yeah, so just jump in, be a part of it, participate, and tell other people about it. Make some donations to the cause, buy the audio book, click like on the YouTube videos, you know, make comments on the videos, you know what I'm saying? Interact on there, tell me what you thought of the information, all of that. Yeah, so if you've ever been upset that our people don't have anything of our own, now you do. So get in there and use it, brothers. All right? That's a little public service announcement that I had to get out there for the homie. You know, we ain't even got to the topics yet. That's just a little service announcement. That's just to put that out there, right? Just on the jump, just to get it going. All right. Now, on to the main event. This is what it's all been leading up to, brothers. Black Ops, Project Eden skills, right? This is what we've been talking about. Skills, man, building your skills, doing something for yourself, developing your capabilities to the point where you can become productive. If you're not productive, you ain't gonna have shit. You can't produce nothing, you don't have nothing. You just got a job. You just work there until you die. You know what I'm saying? But when the brother becomes productive, there's brothers, man, that can build a car from the ground up. We talked about that before, you know, previous videos. Brother get out there, order everything he needs, go to the junkyard and buy pieces and bits and scraps, rebuild a whole engine just from base components, put it all back together and have a better car in the end than what the car was when they first bought it. There's people with those skills, right? It's just not very many of them. So I asked you a couple videos, actually in the last video, I asked you to see if you could just build a box. Just a box, like a little jewelry box. A little, open the lid, you know, can you build a box? Right? Brothers been talking about wanting to build a black nation. We want our own black nation. They've been talking about that since the 40s and the 50s. But here we are in 2023 going into 2024. And you can't build a little box. You know what I'm saying? With like a little lid on it. Then you damn sure can't build a black nation or any other nation. Some of you might say, well, I don't need to build one. I let others build one, and then I just slide in. So you're going to let somebody else build the black nation, and then you just going to go join it. But if you don't have any skills, what the hell would you even have to offer a new black nation, even if we had one? What you going to come in and do? You going to come in and do what? What do you have to offer that nation? See, white folk got all their dirty jobs automated now. They got robot window washers. We talked about that. They got robot floor cleaners, robot forklifts. They don't need you to do their dirty work anymore. Well, if we had a modern black nation, we'd be using the same technology. We don't need you for that either. So what can you do? So yeah, brother, you gotta have some skills or you just gonna be in the way. So let's start small with just a little wooden jewelry box. Build that. Post that in the Vibe Lounge in B2B and let us check out your work. Another little area in back to black.net, the Vibe Lounge is in the upper top right corner. Keep using it over and over. So whenever you log on, you already know what it is because it's the same password, same, for everything. And so you can even save that to your computer. Your computer should ask you, do you want to save your screen name and password here? You say, yeah. So, whenever you log on, it'll pop up with all your information already there. All you have to click is enter. So it's real basic, real simple, and it's just we can make it a lot more complicated for security purpose if we start having problems. But right now, it's basic, let you get in there and start having fun. All right. So, post your information, post your pictures of your jewelry box, on, post that in the Vibe Lounge. And that's like a little posting board. You post your image, make comments and stuff. Somebody else can reply, create a thread. And so that's the Vibe Lounge. That's what that is. And you'll be able to post that in there and let everybody check out your work. So if we get more people coming in, they check out your work, they see what you're doing, we can comment on it, and eventually we can start having contests and things, getting really into having a lot of fun on there and utilizing that resource. All right. So we just got to get it started. Now, let me show you this too. I keep this actually I don't even show people stuff that I do too much. I'm trying to get out of that. But this is something that I actually built years ago. If I can get a clear shot on it. But you can see the glitter effects on there. You can see it's a shiny, reflective type surface. This is an amethyst pyramid on the top. And it's in the towel shape here, underneath it. So towel shape was the original shape of the swastika. Well, they took it and reversed it and turned it into a swastika. But initially it was a high priest symbol. All right. I forget now. I think it was like in Sumer. I think it was in Sumer. Yeah, I think it was Sumerians. But so you got the crystal pyramid up here. So the premise behind this is that the energy from around the room can come in to these holes all the way around it, and then get amplified in the box and kind of concentrate in the box and then move up into the pyramid. The pyramid distributes it out into the room. All right. And then you can also reverse it like that, upside down pyramid. And I think that all the energy comes in and hits the center point of the pyramid. You see the center point sticking down there. And bam, it's like blast it out. Blast that energy out. So if you got bad energy in your room, you quadruple it, you know what I'm saying? With this, hey, if you have good energy in the room, you quadruple that also. So I call it a Tika box, based on the Tika, swastika, Tika. Take what's evil and flip it back into good. That's what they do. They take what's good and flip it into evil. So we take the evil and flip it back into good. So this is something I built years ago. Built that years ago. Just messing around when I first got my power tools and I didn't know if I could build anything, and this is what I built. So yeah, so little stuff like that, man. I just do little things and just you don't never know what you can do till you try. So that was something that that I got into there. So yeah, just start trying stuff, man. But in terms of the project you saw me working on in the last 2 or 3 videos, I can finally say, finally, I got it done. It's done, man. I finally finished that, and yeah, that these videos are only like, an hour or 2 long, but that bad boy took like half a year actually to do that. I'd been planning it. I had it in my mind since last year, like early last year, and this year I decided to do it. And I knew it was going to take a while. I knew it was going to be really involved, but I didn't know it was going to be over half a year. But it was. I didn't care what it was going to take. I was going to get it done. But I didn't know it was going to cost as much as it cost. It was expensive. I'm not giving no numbers. It was expensive, and yeah, it took a while to do that. So in order to do this properly, to do the big reveal, to show it to you, I'm gonna go back a little bit to where I left off a few episodes back, because if you remember, I was showing you back in part 1 of this mini-series, Project Eating Skills, I was showing you that I had a room that I was using just for storage, full of old junk and boxes, and I had cleaned it up and turned it into a nice new fresh exercise room that I was using for calisthenics, push-ups, squats, chin-ups, all of that. I had the room sharp. It was nice. It was clean there. It was nice. But then something hit me, told me that I was going to have to tear it all down, because I knew it was elevation time. I knew it was time to move up to higher levels in my studio work. And that's the only room I had left that would work for what I needed to do. Man, I was like, what the hell? But, I done bought all of this workout equipment, I was getting ready to get a bench set, and I'm glad I didn't get a bench set, and then really invest in that, start getting some free weights and stuff. I'm glad I didn't get into all of that, because that would have really have been, a waste of money. But, you got to do what you got to do. And I have learned not to resist and ask too many questions when I get that strong push to go in a certain direction, to increase my productivity, do this, build that, stop this, stop that. I stopped trying to fight it. I just go do it now and get it done, and I find so much easier like that. All right. But yeah, if we got to buy new gear, go get you some new gear. You got to buy a new desk, go get you a new desk. You got to rearrange everything. So I just do it now. If I feel it, I go do it. And it was crazy. So I knew I was gonna have to do all of that. The desk, the rearranging. I was just like, oh God. I knew it was gonna be a lot. So then when I got the image in my mind of what I was supposed to build, I needed to build this thing. I need to build it by hand. I was just like, oh my God, this is gonna take forever, man. I can't afford this, man. I can't afford. Didn't matter. It's got to be done, and that's something that our people have to learn, is to be obedient to that little voice inside that's telling you, man, what you doing that for? Why you still messing with her? She's destroying your life, man. Hey, bro, get you a new car. Get you a new car. This ain't gonna last you too much longer. Go get you a new car. You don't get no big fancy thing, but you need something. This is not gonna last you. You're gonna get stuck. Let it go. And I can't afford that. Oh man, that's gonna be too much money right now. And you don't listen, and you end up stuck out in the middle of nowhere. You don't listen, and she tear your life apart. See what I'm saying? You don't listen, and you messed around and got her pregnant. Now you stuck with child support. You knew you should have left her last year before she got pregnant, but you didn't. Now you stuck. See? So I learned to listen now. And I'll complain, I I had this, man, this gonna take a long time. But that thing, it has no mercy. You know, it has no mercy. It don't care none of your problems. Just go do it. And you said this gonna take all my money, and the little boys will say, yo, this is why you was given the finances in the first place. This is what you're supposed to be doing with it. I didn't give you that for a PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, you start to think some of this stuff through, learn to be obedient, learn to follow your higher self. And that's really what it is. People say, oh, it's God. No, it's your higher self. It's your higher consciousness. It's the part of you that is not corrupted and tainted by the physical. It's the higher spiritual form that may or may not even be a part of this physical body. You know, you have a higher consciousness that can operate outside of this physical realm. But we're going into we're going too deep with that. But we'll get into all of that. But yeah, I knew it was time for me to get to work. So I had to break out the battle gear. My battle gear, everybody got some battle gear, man. Here go my battle gear. When I put this on, I'm getting ready to go at it. This is the battle gear right here, brother. Yeah, right there. So when I put this on, man, because I know I'm getting ready to be sweating. You know what I'm saying? I got the old dirty clothes on. You know, can't get the robes messed up, man. You know what I'm saying? Can't get the robes messed up, right? I got the old raggedy clothes on. I got the sweatband on, the battle gear. And then I just go out and get on it. And just sweat, you know. And it's just soak it all up. You don't have no problems, right? So get you some battle gear, man. Get you some wristbands if you need them, you know, and get to work. That's warrior mode right there, right? That's when it's time to really get into it, okay? Time to get dirty and grimy, see? So I bought that years ago, and it works. It really does keep the sweat from coming all down in your eyes. You know, it works. You want to get one that's comfortable. Some of them is scratchy, some of them too tight. So find one that's comfortable. Get the color. Color is important. Get a color that resonates with you. They got all kind of different colors. And you know, so now you just get to work and put it on and get into it. So you all saw me building the project on the previous videos. So let me show you. You saw the finished calisthenics room. So I'm gonna show you the room again, just in case you forgot. You know, you don't have to go back and look at it. I'm gonna show you the room, and then I'm gonna show you how the finished project was integrated into it. Okay, how the whole room got tore down, rearranged, had to rebuild. You know, put new stuff in there, new desk and everything, right? And then how I turned that room into something that increased my productivity 100 times. Okay, so here we go. Enjoy, and I'm telling you, this is going to fuck your head up. And follow the example, because this is also what it takes in order to grow, build, and progress, and to become productive. Start producing something for yourself and for your people. This is what Malcolm X, that was his whole mission. You hear people talk about Malcolm, by any means necessary. They took that man's whole life and crunched it down into one sentence that nobody knows what it means. It's just by any means necessary. No, actually, when he said that, he was talking about getting the right to vote. That's actually what that speech was about. He was talking about by any means necessary, we have to, you know, get the right to vote. But that was back during a time when they actually believed that voting was, you know, a way to have a say-so in the direction of this country. They thought it was real. They didn't think that it was rigged, and that, you know, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of votes were being thrown out. Hundreds of thousands of other votes that came from nowhere was being added in. You know, that's like me saying Somebody said, well, how much money did all these people give you? Oh, well, let me go in the back and count it, and then I'll come back and tell you how much they gave me. You know, and you got to take my word on it. So I can guarantee you I would be 110% more trustworthy than the people you got doing it now. They count the vote. They tell you who won. You don't know. You know what they told you. See what I'm saying? But that's my point is if you want to begin to do something for yourself, that's the solution to all your problems. Malcolm put that out almost 100 years ago. He was trying to tell black folk, do for self, build for self, build for your people, do for your people, educate yourself, and then educate your people. That was his whole premise. That was his whole agenda. That's what he was trying to tell people. His whole doctrine. You know, he called himself a black nationalist because he talking about, you know, building a black nation, right? But the Nation of Islam back then almost did it. They came close, man. They came the closest of anybody in history to actually building a black nation. Garvey came real close. He had made a deal with Africa out there and had built, I think it was Liberia, but I think that's what it was called. But Malcolm didn't deal so much with that as he was trying to get something built here. And he even said that we may need to go back there, but right now we here, so let's start at home. So that's what we're dealing with here, man. We talking about building at home. We talking about starting at home. You can start in your garage, start in your basement, start building something. If you don't have the skills to build, go get them. Educate yourself. That's the first step. You don't have to go sit in a college for 2, 3, 4, 10 years. You can just go buy a power drill. If you don't know how to use a drill, buy one. Start messing with it in the garage, and within a week or two, you'll know how to use a power drill. And if you're dumb enough that you start putting holes in your hand, then you might have to learn the hard way. But watch some safety videos on YouTube. Learn how to use this equipment properly. Watch the masters do it. They got some people on there that's really, really, really high level woodworking masters, and they can tell you how to use power drill, table saw, drill press, belt sander. You know what I'm saying? So just start watching. That's why on the thumbnails you see I got the brothers on there with the sanders and the welders and the chisels, and you know what I'm saying? So this is what we have to get into. So here is my journey into rebuilding, regenerating, and taking my own personal level of productivity to levels never before seen. At least I have never done it before, but I'm doing it now. Check it out. Rearranged this whole room. So that was a pain. It's mostly empty, fortunately, or I wouldn't have had room for this. But I got the package today, and I'm going to be working on building this table and trying to move some more of this junk out of the way. So that's what I'm doing right now.
I gotta get me a bag, steady type of cash on my bro and that same shit. No, I don't fuck with no lame bitch. Can't even fuck on the same shit. I heard your shit in the swag. That shit is so sad, put in work at that basement. I charge you double that payment. Lil' boy, I'm not one you could play with. I grew up in Brooklyn, left right, I keep looking. If the ops come, then we get to bucking. So sad that my youngest stay shook. Get a bag, we don't play with a book. Made a slab, now they all wanna hug. If you ask, yeah, I do the dash, yeah. Got money bags, yeah. For the ones that they took, I know that I'm good, ay. Straight face and I look. They say that budget is in my outlook, yeah. Hot mail, we gon' post bail when that ship sail, oh yeah. I pop tags, racks, that's my swag. Don't get mad, go there. They wanna know how we came up out that basement, we was damn stuck. I was down bad on my ass, I had no job, I was fucked up, yeah. Now I get to sit back and laugh while you haters are mad and you counting your pay stubs. I do this all on my own. Right after wake up, I go get my cake up. I gotta get me a bag, steady type of cash on my bro and that same shit. No, I don't fuck with no lame bitch. Can't even fuck on the same shit. I heard your shit in the swag. That shit is so sad, put in work at that basement. I charge you double that payment. Look, boy, I'm not one you can play with. Watch out, everyone come
Yeah,
for
we're
that
getting there.
ride.
It was tricky because it had the extra long bar there actually goes all the way across, and then these two are halves that connect to it, and it was a really tricky trying to figure out how that goes according to the directions, which really didn't give much information. It was just pictures, just to give you an example. That's it. You just had to look at that and figure out how the pieces went based on that. No explanations, just little pictures. So yeah, trying to figure out that was one solid piece that goes all the way across, and these connect to it in the middle, and then there's a little screw there and a little screw there, and it bolts all the way across that whole junction. It was kind of tricky, but got it going pretty good so far, and moving along. Moving right along with it. Got this end piece on it over here. I wanted it on this end, but the directions actually had it over there. But fortunately, this frame was the same as that frame, so I just switched them around because I want this over here. I don't want this the shelf system right up against the futon over there. So moved it over here. It works out better, and I have a lot more space over here to play with that. So moving along with it, getting ready to do the top portion now, and there you go. Keep it moving. Okay, getting there. Putting the tops on now. There's the centerpiece is actually already bolted on. That end piece there is actually just sitting there. It's not bolted yet. And then that seam will be closed up once that's done. And it's actually a lot of work, this one here. This is pretty complicated. This is all metal framework here. You see I got the braces back there. And this one was pretty detailed. But it's a nice desk. It's actually real stable, sturdy, good quality. And just keep it moving. I like the shelf system there. Double shelf, and then the end piece is going to cover that. So it's actually real nice. I like it. See, this is the kind of stuff that makes this kind of thing real complicated, more than it has to be. This is the parts package that has the screws in there. All of these little packages had screws and bolts and nuts and everything in there. You can still see there's some over here. These are wooden dowels. They're called dowels. And nowhere in these directions does it tell you where to use them, how they install or anything. But from previous experience, I know that they go between two connecting pieces of wood. And you'll see there's a little hole there, and there's another one over here, and one there, and one there. So I know that's where the dowels go. And then when you push the pieces together, you kind of supposed to smack on them until they close up, and then the dowel locks them in place. The problem is that when you go to move, if I get ready to get another place or something like that, you got to remember that they're in there, because this will probably have to be disassembled to get it back out of the door. It's a little narrow door back there, so this will have to be broken down. Just this connecting piece will have to be taken out so that these pieces here can slide through there. More than that might have to be taken apart, I don't know, but you got to remember those dowels are in there, or you'll try to move it and lift it, and those will snap in half. So it's just little tricky stuff like that you got to remember, and you only learn from you know, either just putting a lot of stuff together and then you remember, or you learn the hard way and you snap them at some point and mess your desk up. And once they're jammed in there, it's almost impossible to get them back out. You got to get a drill to drill the wood back out of there. It's just a big mess. So, but anyway, that's that. So almost done with it now. I just got to bolt these tops on there. I got the brackets on there. I forgot to put this bracket on there, but it's okay. It bolts from the end there, so I just put it up on there and bolt it on, and it goes right up underneath that center piece. It's another, see, you got 2 braces under there already. This is a 3rd brace that goes above the top one, so that's all that is. And I think that should do it after that. That should be about it, so keep it moving. See, something else I came across here. I was putting that top on, and I kind of heard the wood scraping a little bit, and so I moved it out the way to see what was scraping, and you can see how they left that open here and here. This is the kind of stuff that you got to watch out for with these things. A lot of this stuff is coming from China. I don't know that this is, but a lot of the stuff is, and so it's this kind of little refinement type stuff, you know, just the little extra touches. I don't like that scraping against that wood like that. I don't want it scraped up and scratched up and gouged out, even if it's on the bottom and you're not going to see it. When you get stuff, you want to take care of it and have it to look nice. So I got to find something to put over that. And I don't know what I'm going to use, but I'm not going to leave that scratching that wood like that. Just tearing it up on the bottom over the years, gouging it out. So I'm going to do something with that. So I think I got it figured out. I got 4 little black pieces of plastic. All right, you can see how thin that is. It's actually not thin enough. I'd like it a little thinner, but I also don't want it to break as soon as any pressure is put on it. So this will fit right over here like this. Okay, and it doesn't matter if it overhangs a little bit because it's gonna be underneath it, like I said. And I don't want it to be so thick that when the screw goes through, it can't connect, you know, because it's got a little lift to it. So you don't want it to lift the wood up to where the screw can't catch it. But that shouldn't be a problem there. That's just enough. And so then this piece will go over here. I'm gonna get a little glue and glue those down. And then those will just stay there for the duration of the desk for as long as it lasts. And these little pieces of plastic, I cut them with, I have big heavy duty shears. Everybody should have a nice pair of heavy duty shears. If they don't have it, you should have it. And this is just an old CD case that I pulled the CD holder out of it, the little black part. I don't even know who this is. I don't know what it went to. Oh, let's see. Somebody called Mass Order. Oh, somebody gave me that. They thought I'd like it, and it was crap. But I never listened to them. But I just held it just because it was a gift. But yeah, so that was decades ago. So now I'm chopping up the case. But yeah, so that came from the holder. The CD snaps in place on here. You can see the shape of the disc right there. And I just I marked it off with squares with a marker and cut one out and then used it to trace 3 more. So now I got 4 squares, 2 over here, 2 on the ends, and then that'll cover up this sharp edge here from grinding into the wood. And there you go. So that's the solution for that. And that's how you put a desk together or anything that you're working on. You find these little workarounds, and that's how that goes. So I got the wood dowels in there. Those are ready to go. And I'll just kind of tap those into place once I get this positioned and line them up with here, with one here. There's another one underneath there, and tap them together and then bolt it. You see the screw bolts there, bolt it together, and then that'll be pretty much done. So back to it. So as you can see, had a few little setbacks there. Had to take the tops back off of the, take this off, see this. I had to take the tops back off the tables because, as I said, I wanted this over here instead of over there. And I tried just switching this brace that was over here, and I just tried putting the brace over there because that's the only one that has the mounting holes in it. That one doesn't have mounting holes. So I said, well, let me just put it over here because that's where I wanted the shelf system. Well, the problem was, you may or may not be able to tell it, but these bars are not the exact same length. It's about maybe a 2-inch difference between the length of those two table platforms. So when I switched them around, the tabletops didn't fit. The tabletops are designed to only fit on certain sizes, the actual braces up there. And once I switched that brace over here, the end brace, the tabletop didn't fit anymore because there's one of the tabletops is real long and has to go all the way across and mount to this arm here. Stretches all the way across and mounts there. That one is short, and that's just a little short tabletop there. So ultimately what I end up having to do is disassemble all these arms, these middle arms, and switch them around and put them on the other side. Now the directions ended up saying that if you wanted these shelves on this side, then you have to follow these plans. But it had other plans on the other side. It was like a four pieces of paper here, fold out. Okay, so I started out looking at, it's got like a part sheet. I started out looking at program A over here, program A. Program B is the side if you want it over here. But again, there's no text. The only words that's the only words in the whole thing. And it doesn't say anything about switching that brace from one side to the other. This is just installation tips on tightening up the screws and all that kind of thing. You notice there's no more words on here. So, you know, you have to just look at this stuff and kind of, I guess, figure it out, put it together. Oh, okay, yeah, this is this and this, just from looking at pictures. There's no explanation that program A was for the shelf to be on that side. Program B was for the shelf to be on that side. I thought that program B was a continuation. I thought it was instructions to keep telling you how to do other steps and, you know, whatever, you know, I thought it was a continuation. But it was actually the same directions, but just with that on the other side. So, yeah, when you get into stuff like this, you never know what you're going to get. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get that top brace in there. I thought that they had messed that up because it didn't fit on the corners. But it mounts onto these arms, not the corners. When I tried to put it, if you don't have these arms in place, you can't put the brace on. But again, there's no explanation for any of that. You know, make sure all arms are in place before inserting brace A or whatever. Didn't have anything like that, just had pictures. So when I switched it around, that's one long solid arm all the way across. But before, I had it going across here when I originally showed it to you. Now the longer arm solid piece is going all the way across that way. And there's a little mounting hole in it over here and a little mounting hole in this short arm. This is one short arm, another little mounting hole over there. So that's where the screws had to go to bolt in that top brace. So yeah, it's just, you just got to kind of go and figure it out as you go, make mistakes, undo it, start over. So it only took me about an hour to switch it around. And I should be good to go now to put the tabletops on there, and that should be the end of it. All right, see you when they're on there. So I got it done. This is what the finished desk looks like. It's a real nice desk. It even came with little feet that you could screw on the bottom, which is rare. They usually don't have those little, and they're metal. If they do have something, it's usually made out of plastic, but they actually have these little screw-in metal feet, which is going to be, that came in real handy. I didn't know they was going to have that, but what I'm going to be doing up here, the table is going to have to be level. I might even have to get a leveler and put it across here with the little bubble in there to make sure that it's perfectly flat for what I'm going to be doing. And you'll see that later. The rest of the room is still a mess. I got to clean all of this off. But it's all junk just from working on this, really. But this futon was over here, and it was lining along that wall there, and it had the window over it. So it was real cool, and it will fold out to a bed. And then I just had a yoga mat that covered this whole floor, and some parallel bars that I was doing exercises on. But you can't just dedicate a whole room to that when you're trying to get something done. So this is going to be my production and fabrication room. And so you'll see where this table is going to come in handy. And I'll be able to put some little supplies over here. I have another, actually I'm using it for movies and DVDs, and I have a nice bookshelf that could go on the end over here. I just don't want to block off that window over here. So that's it, really. But the next time you see this, it'll be finished and have all the equipment up there, and you'll be able to see what I'm doing. All right, take care. Appreciate y'all watching. Well, here we are, and you already saw the table was finished, but here you can see it's covered with parts and pieces and components and glue and wires and cables and all kinds of good stuff that is actually going to be used in a project that I have coming up. This is just an old nightstand that I had from back when I was a little kid. This was my old nightstand, and I've been using it as, at one point I was using it as an armrest and to rest my mouse pad on and stuff at a computer desk I had years ago. Now it's just kind of really just something to put on the end of the futon back over there. Just keep it on the end and use it for kind of what it is. You just see junk on it and tools and parts and pieces, and that's really about all it is now. It's almost kind of in the way at this point. So it's funny, you try to hold on to stuff through the years, and as much as you loved it when it was needed during its time decades ago, gets to a point where you have to let it go. So at some point that's going to probably end out on the front lawn. But for now, I'm more interested in other things, other projects. And so this is what's going on here. This is what's going on at the desk, and all the cables and boxes and stuff coming in the mail. You see the packaging back there. So it's a lot of stuff going on, and I have a lot more stuff to order yet. I'm kind of going to treat myself for the end of the year and get just a lot of stuff that I've been kind of eyeballing for the last year and a half. And I'm probably just going to end up getting it all in one shot for the holidays, and spend that time learning everything, putting everything together, setting everything up. And so when you see this again, everything should be put together and you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So it's going to be actually pretty cool. All right. So I'm really happy about, I got this package today. This is the creme de la creme, top of the line compass from SPECTRE. And let's see if I can open this. I had one before, but it didn't have all of this. It just had this, and I think this, and it did not have this is a mechanical pencil. It didn't have that with it. This is really cool. really, really fine point. See if you can barely see the pencil lead that comes out of there. Can't keep it in focus because it's just too tiny, but yeah, so it came with a mechanical pencil. This is extra lead for this, and the lead is really, really fine. I probably shouldn't even take this out. Let's see if I can, just to show you how fine the lead is. That's the lead inside of this pencil. So that back in there. You got to be real careful when handling this stuff, because when you're dealing with this level of technology, this stuff is so tiny that it can literally just one little thing, and you can just start breaking stuff and losing stuff. Like now, I'm trying to find the little nib on there. Where in the fuck? Okay, so yeah, so like I was saying, you see my magically appearing notepad here, but I had one of these before, and I gave it to family, my nephews, just in case. They have actually a lot of artistic abilities, and just in case they ever wanted to put it to use and start getting into this type of thing, they would have some of this stuff already. So I gave them my old one. I wasn't using it at the time, and now I'm working on a project where I needed it again, and I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and order another one. I wasn't going to ask for that one back, but yeah, I said if I'm going to get one, I'm going to get one better than what I had. So this, let me say this first. This is an extender. You can actually put a pen or a pencil in here, all right, and you use this dial to screw it in and out, and that makes this open and close. And you put like a pen or a pencil in there, and then you hook this onto the end of that like that, and then the pencil goes in there, and then you can use the pencil, your own pencil or whatever, or pen, or you have technical pens. You can put a technical pen in there, so you'll get ink that can come out as you draw your circle. Then they also have some that have like an extension arm that comes out, which I didn't get that one. I don't need a circle quite that big. Usually something like this is enough. And so you can see here, it's got a metal point and it's got a pencil tip. And basically all you do is you use this to open and close it, bring it in closer, make smaller circles, or you can press these arms in and cause it to open and close faster. Okay. All right. So basically you put the point down where you want it, and you can make a perfect circle, which would otherwise be pretty much impossible to do unless you were really, really skilled at technical drawings. And there's some people that actually do have the ability to make perfect circles freehand. I'm not one of them. But so that's what this is for. And there's just different reasons of why you may or may not need to draw a circle. If you do a lot of work like I do, technical work, then you might not need to do one this week, maybe not next week, but at some point eventually you're going to need to make a circle. So I'm working on a project right now, and I showed you how messed up my table is. So right now I need one. If I can get this back in here. Okay, this is actually, there's an extra metal tip in here, and there's more pencil tips in here. And I kind of wish I had gotten the one that had the arm extender. There was an extender that attached on here. These come off. You can unscrew that, and then this whole little tip comes off. And you can put an this part comes off. This arm comes off. So you would unscrew that one. This whole arm, you can see here, it slides. This whole arm disconnects and slides out right there. And then you would put the extender out there, which will bring it out to here. You can make these huge circles, which again, I don't need that right now. I'd probably need the mechanical pencil before I need a big extender to go out and make 15, 20 inch circles. But anyway, it's a nice kit. Stadler's top shelf materials right there. Also brought these protractors and triangles, and these are top shelf also. It's not a heavy metal, but it's heavier than most. And they actually have a cork backing, and that's really important because when you put your triangles down, you probably can't see it, but it actually lifts it maybe just about a 1/16 or 2/16 of an inch off the paper. You can almost barely see it, but see, I can get my fingernail under there. And what that does is when you're using ink, if you have an ink pen, technical pen that you're drawing, not a regular pen that you use to get at the store. Some of these technical pens that you get at the store, that you get from an art store, actually have free-flowing ink that you have to fill it up. And when you draw the line against the edge of a triangle or a ruler, came with a ruler, this whole kit, and there's the cork backing. And what happens is when you try to draw the technical pen with the free-flowing ink along the edge, if it touches the ruler and the paper at the same time, it gets sucked up underneath it, and you get just like a big smear of ink underneath it. So with it being raised up, it keeps the ink from attaching and being drawn under the actual surface and ruining the whole project. It also is easier to pick up. It also holds it in place. It doesn't slide around. And so, like I said, but the biggest advantage is if you're using a technical pen, it keeps the paper separate from the triangle, and the ink doesn't get drawn up underneath it and ruin your project. So just little tips if you get into this kind of technical work. So you might need a metal ruler with cork backing. You don't want that laying just flat on the paper like that, because you'll have those situations. Plus it slides around. Whereas if it's got the cork backing, that helps it grip and it doesn't slide around. So yeah, always spend that little extra bit of money if you're going to do stuff like this. It'll really help you in the long run. You saw how easy it was to make that circle. Just one hand, just spin it around on there. You could do a perfect circle. It's just how easy it is. And the other thing I have is, I'll show you here. Hold on. So I got a package in the mail today. Actually the other day, but I'm working on it today. These are 4 brass bars that I had ordered, and I'm already working on them. I'm trying to get them refined. As you can see, I'm sanding them down, and they got a nice L shape on the back. So I want to use that. and I'm going to put a curve here. I want to curve that in, so you see how it's kind of, I guess the guy had melted them down into a mold that already had the L shape. And then this part here, these backs were actually bubbled. They were kind of round on the top, and you can see how rough it is here. They were like all rough and bubbled up and black, and all the grit from the smelting process, or the melting process. I'm sure he had a bunch of brass laying around and he just melted it all together. So what I want to do is basically sand these into, you see that one's real bad, and put like a curve on these messed up sides, curve it inward, and so it'll be like on the on here, these will be basically brackets. These will be brackets set down here, and then it'll have a little curved slope on the side there. And so that's what I'm doing here. And I'm doing this on my handy dandy belt sander. And ironically, I actually didn't know that these could be used for this. Fortunately, mine has a curved side here, and I can just hold it on there while it's running. And it doesn't, you can see the top there doesn't cover the whole belt, so have to flip it upside down and then do the other side and then level that off. But so far it's working pretty good. It's not really, haven't got much time in on it yet, which is good because I wanted to show you the process before it got too far along. But you can see it's starting to come in. You see it's just barely starting to get a curve on it. And then the edges had lumps and bumps on the edges, and I wanted to get those smoothed out, and I just wanted to look nice and get it all polished up and everything. So that's what I'm working on now on this, and you'll see where they come into play. At first I didn't want to sand them, but they're actually too heavy right now. They're real heavy, so some of this metal's got to come off anyway. So it's okay. I was like, that's good to kind of grind that out of there and get that rounded off. It'll get a nice shape on there, put a nice polish on it all the way around, and it'll get rid of a lot of excess metal while cutting down on a lot of the weight at the same time. This is soft wood. You don't want a lot of weight anywhere on it to cause the wood to bow or bend over time, stuff like that. So that's what I'm working on. And these are the kind of projects that just make you get better and better. And I actually learned how to do this. There's a show that comes on the History Channel called Forged in Fire. And I saw them sanding metal to make their blades and knives and swords and stuff on there. So I would advise you to really start getting into watching that show and start picking up the techniques of blacksmithing, forging metal, working with metals. Everybody talks about wanting to move into a new era for Black people, you know, to be able to reach greater heights of accomplishment and productivity. And you'll never do that if you can't work with metal, mold metal, melt metal, smelt metal, mixing metals, combining metals, mastering metallurgy, all of that kind of thing. Learning the difference between brass and copper and gold and silver, and, you know, how to make steel, tin, aluminum foil, tin and aluminum, basically, you know. I don't know if it's the same thing or not. I actually never looked into it, but stuff like that. But you have to know these things if you're going to get into, you know, working with metals. So this kind of stuff is where you want to start to focus. These are Eden skills. These are the skills that you're going to need if you're going to start doing anything, is working with sanders, power drills over here, you know, staple guns, any of this kind of stuff. You want to start working with stuff. Obviously, that's just a screwdriver, but, you know, paint thinner over here. All of these, this actually has different rollers that I can put on here for different projects, you know, for different effects. and each one gets a little bigger, as you can see, and then that's the biggest one. So it comes with these little discs and stuff to put it down on top of it and keep it in place. So if you don't get into some kind of skill type production work, just start out with little hobby type stuff like this, just doing little things and keep it going year after year, every month, start something new. And that's how you end up with the skills that you need, or you're going to need down the road to finally do for self. This is basically what Malcolm was trying to get people to do back in the 50s. Obviously, it wasn't time for that yet. It wasn't the age or the era for it, but we're here now and we have the tools for it. This whole sander was probably cost, what, $150, $200, something like that. It wasn't much at all. So if you don't start getting into stuff like this, then you can't complain about your situation later on. When you end up, you don't have anything, you can't do anything, you're still begging for jobs and they don't have any jobs to give you. You can't get mad at them. Get mad at yourself for not doing anything for yourself so that you can be productive and have something going, for yourself. By the time you're 50, 60, 70 years old, you have your own thing going on. So that's it. That's where this is at. And the next time I'll show you what they do when they're installed and how it's all going to work. And I was lucky to find these. I actually looked around for a long time to find some kind of brass, copper, bronze, some kind of gold metal type of deal for cheap. And I was lucky to get these. But if you look, you can find them. It's a lot of stuff out here. You just got to look for them. And there you go. All right. All right. So I got a little bit of a treat for you all today. This is something that I had really not intended to do because it's messy. I mentioned it to you before. It just makes a mess, but it comes out with really good work. Which is to show you, just to give like a little demonstration of airbrushing. This is my old beater airbrush. This is actually an older model. I've had this airbrush since forever. Since I was little, man. I've had this since I was like a teenager, really. I kept this because it's always done good work. It looks a mess. It looks raggedy and tore up because it's just got paint all over it. It's all messy and stuff. But it's actually, if you flip it around to the other side, it actually looks like the day I bought it. If I clean up the paint and got some paint thinner and wiped it all up, it would be shiny as it was the day that I first bought it. This actually has a back that goes on it. And there's the actual airbrush in all of its glory. This is a Pache VL airbrush, and I always used to want to use it with the back on there, with the whole thing the way that it came. And very quickly I realized that wasn't very practical, because I always needed to go in here when you're airbrushing. You start doing a lot of work, you start mixing colors. You always got to go in here and do the adjustments and take the needle out, clean it out. This unscrews, this unscrews. It's got two sections here that you can actually unscrew. This part unscrews, this part unscrews. Then it's got little tips and nibs inside of there. You can take the hose off, this cup comes off, so the whole thing can be broken down until really it's just this little center section right here. And even this knob here comes out. So then you can go in there and clean it out with paint thinner, water, whatever, and put it all back together. So as dirty as it looks, it's actually pretty clean inside. And the way you test that is just by basically putting water in the cup. This is called a side feed. They also have a top feed, which has got the little cup on top of it, which I don't like that because you only got one cup. It's part of the unit. You can't take it off and change colors, but I can have 5, 6, 7 cups lined up, all of them with a different color. And all I have to do is basically, run water through it, flush it out, rinse it out, and then put on a new color. but if you have a top feed, you got to keep, what little bits left in there, you dump it out and then change your color. And, for me, I like the side cup, the side feed with extra cups. So basically this is going to be the lid to my product that I'm putting together. My little invention over there, I've been showing you all along. This is going to be one of the lid sections. And this is a new lid section. I've restarted this 3 or 4 times already, man. It's just been a mess. It's been really difficult to get it perfect where it was acceptable to me. The last one came out, I finished it, but it ended up just being kind of a mangled mess. I don't even know where it's at now, but I wasn't, it's in the other room, but I wasn't happy with it. It just was, to me, it had like a little warp in it. You see how this is laying flat? The other one had just like a slight warp in it. It wasn't cut perfect on the edges. I needed these edges to be sharp and crisp and clean, because the top, I mean, that's right in the front. Everybody's going to see that. I'm going to see it. And it's just, every time I look at it, it's just going to piss me off. So I wanted it nice and clean and perfect. This one came out good, and also used a little bit thicker wood because the lid is going to have a little bit of pressure on it from opening it and stuff. And the hinges on there kind of tight. So I wanted a little bit thicker wood, a little bit heavier duty, a little more sturdy. And this should work. So I finally got it done. I had to restart this 4 or 5 times because I couldn't get the stain right. I couldn't get the glaze right. It was just, it's been a mess. So I finally got it where it's good now, and all I have to do is put the black trim on the bevels. We talked about the beveled edges before, so I just need to put the black trim on there, and that's what I'm going to do today. And I'm not going to do the whole thing all the way around. I'm just going to do one edge, and then once you see me do one, it's just going to be the same thing on all the rest of them. So I'm just going to do the one edge just to show you. I tried to have it in widescreen, but my phone won't fit in the holder sideways. It's a big phone. So, that's one of the things I wanted to mention too, is just making sure you have the right tools for the right job. And a lot of the stuff that I have now is stuff that I got years ago. And I was just kind of playing around, just experimenting with things, and ended up getting $150 table saw, $200 drill press, $50, power drill, just different stuff, just whatever it was for the time being. And once I had that, it was great for the time. But now that I'm moving into more professional type stuff, it doesn't work. The old stuff doesn't work. It's not as precise as I need it to be. It's not as consistent as I need it to be. You can't get super clean cuts every single time like I need it to be, So that's one of the drawbacks of using a, kind of $100, $200 range tools. When you start getting into stuff like this, you really need to move up into the $500 to $1,000 to $2,000 range of equipment. That noise you're hearing is the air compressor for this. So when you push down, you get air. When you pull back, you get paint. So the trick is to push down and pull back just enough to get the spray that you want. So we'll get into all of that. But so anyway, just make sure whatever you're doing, you start out with beginner's level stuff. And then very quickly, you'll find as you get better, you're going to start needing to get into more professional level tools. And that's kind of where I'm at with things now, is I need to start getting into higher level stuff. And you just got to get what you can afford at the time. And this stuff never stops evolving. As you get better, you get more stuff. And it becomes a part of your expenses. You want to go into production, you want to do more than work a 9 to 5, you want to start your own business, you want to do your own thing, then you're going to have to start investing in yourself, and it does not stop. It's not like you can just put out $5,000 or $2,000 and that's it. And that's all you need. You have to keep putting out more and more just over the years. Every year is more investment. And that's how you end up accumulating equipment like, like this, getting the wood, the board, the paint, the stain, the glaze. You see it's got like a little gloss to it and stuff. See if I can kind of hold it up there. So you can see it's got like, there you go. It's got like a nice gloss on there. So getting all of that stuff is, it's expensive and it does not stop. So don't think like, well, okay, I want to get started now. I just put $5,000 into it. That should hold me, for a couple years. Nope, that probably will hold you for, maybe a couple of months. By the end of the year, you'll probably need to, you're going to be buying stuff consistently all through. And by the end of the year, you'll probably be putting some more stuff, getting more equipment. And that's just how it goes. So when you don't have the right equipment, it makes stuff like this more difficult. It makes it more complicated than what it has to be. And you have to keep redoing stuff because you can't get it just perfect, but I got it where I want it. And I really almost want to leave it just like it is, because I don't want to touch it again. I want to mess it up. But I'm going to put that black edge on there. And then I got to glaze the black edges. Of course, when you glaze the black edges, you got to glaze the whole thing. So it's all going to get sprayed over. I may see if I can do a little covering on there. So we'll see. But so the first thing is you got to mask off your edges. So masking is one of the key tricks for airbrush. Is you got to learn how to mask. And this is painter's tape. It's just basic painter's tape, maybe $4 or $5 a roll down at Home Depot. And tear this off to the length that I need. Actually, I want to keep reusing it, so I'm going to tear it off the length of the long way. And then I can use it for the short way and the long way. So if I just did it for the short way, then I got to tear off another piece for the long way. So tear it for the long way, then I can use it all the way around. So it's little stuff like that that you start to pick up on. All right, so you'll see the tape has a nice sharp edge to it, okay? So you use that by putting the edge right where you want your line Actually, first thing, I don't need it super sticky. It's too sticky. I don't want to peel it up and tear off my finish. So what I do is you put that on your clothes, sweatpants or whatever, and then you tear it off your clothes. And that puts a little layer of lint on there, okay, that takes off some of the stickiness. So now when you put it down there, it's not as tight. It's not so harsh on the surface. So when you go to take it off, you're pulling paint up and stuff. You don't want that. These are old school tricks, man. Let's go back in the day, All right, so you don't need to push it real hard. You don't need to apply a lot of pressure. So, okay, so you got that. Then I want to put some paper one second here. You get you some paper. When you start getting into this kind of stuff, always keep you about 5 or 6 or 7 newspapers just laying around, because what you'll be able to do then is use them to cover up your work. So you'll get overspray from the airbrush. All right, so we put that in there like that. So now, there you go. So that's covered now. So if anything that oversprays, it's going to be caught by this. It's got a little tear up there, but the spray won't go all the way up there. It'll go probably about in this range. That's about as far as it'll go. So now I can go in here and start airbrushing. So I have a paint that I've been using. I'm almost out. I hope I have enough to get through this. I should have enough. I hope I have enough. And that's another thing. Materials, man. You go through a lot of materials. Paint, glaze, finish, all kinds of stuff. So let's see if I can spray this. So what I'm actually doing is, this is a Tester's paint. This is actually color shift paint. I don't need it. I don't need a color shift. I just want it because it's got a black. It's a glossy black. It's a real high gloss black. So that's really all I want. And you'll never see it shifting colors or nothing like that, because once the glaze goes on there, it flattens all of that out. But I actually take this and spray it in here. This really shouldn't be going through an airbrush, but you know, you do what you got to do, and you do what works, and you got to clean it out real good at the end. So I'm just barely pressing down on it because I just want the paint, not the spray. And then that causes the liquid to come out as opposed to the air. And I fill my cup up. I didn't fill it up, but it's maybe about halfway. And I may not have enough to get around, so I have to fill it up again. But anyway, you go through, test it out. Actually, I think I want to water it down a little bit with a little bit of paint thinner. That's going to be tricky. Let's see if we can do that. So yeah, get your paint thinner. Gotta have all your stuff ready to go. All right, so yeah, I recommend anybody that is creative to try airbrushing and painting, building, creating, because you just don't know what you can do until you try to do something. So these are the kind of skills that we've been missing. You want to know why you're having problems on the job, problems in your life at home? Usually it's because you're not where you're supposed to be. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're into things that you shouldn't be in. And you might be a super creative, intelligent person, but you've never pushed yourself to do super creative, intellectual things. You know why monkeys and chimpanzees don't make good pets? I don't know if anybody's ever heard this, but it's because they're too intelligent. They need constant entertainment and intellectual stimulation, just like a human, just like a little boy, a little child has to have constant intellectual stimulation. And if you don't give it to them, which that's like, you can't really provide them that. You know, you have to go to work, you got to sleep, you got to, you know, you have a life. So the monkey's just sitting over there in a cage. And then finally what happens is that energy becomes destructive because you never let it out in any other kind of way in terms of spending your whole life dedicated to the monkey. So they start to tear your house up. They start flinging feces around and it just makes a mess. But it's the same thing with a child. If so, the father is normally the one that introduces the child to creativity, developing, building things. stuff like that. And if the child doesn't get that stimulation, they become destructive. Just like the animals. The animal has to have a cat. Dogs get bored. If you have your dog at home and he's just chained up in the room all day, when you come home, that room's going to be tore up because he's just there all day, bored out of his mind. So he just becomes destructive. So if you start getting yourself and your children into creative, intellectual things, like stuff like this, teach them how to airbrush, teach them how to paint, it will direct that energy into more productive areas, and they'll start building and creating instead of destroying and being angry and pent up. This becomes a release. This kind of stuff can be a release for you and especially for children who are just like little balls of energy and they need somewhere to direct it. So you got to get them into stuff like this. So anyway, so I'm just going to show how I do this. So you push down for air, pull back for paint, and it creates a really fine mist. And we just you can narrow it down to almost a pencil point and spread it out just a little bit. And then you just want to start going across this area and get a nice fine black coat on there. And then I'll show you what that looks like when you take that masking tape off. So here we go. Got to test it and make sure we got a good flow. I don't want to spray it on there too much. So let's see. Make sure you don't have any debris, dust, dirt. Make sure you don't have anything on there that's going to get trapped under the paint, or you're going to end up having to redo it all.
They love it when I turn up the bass. They love it when I turn up the bass. They love it when I turn up the bass.
That's all that pretty much takes for that. And that doesn't have obviously it's not like what you see the guys that, in the park airbrushing cartoon characters on t-shirts and stuff. We're just creating just a black line on there. We just wanted to put black on that edge, and then I'm going to show you how sharp that looks when you take the tape off there. Let's see here. So we peel this off. See, you get that nice sharp edge on there. See that? There you go. See? There's your skills right there, man. You know, you gotta get the skills where you could do little stuff like this. And I'm not bragging. I mean, like I said, this is about the 10th time I tried to do this and get to this point. I keep messing it up. Let me get it off the can there so you could just kind of see the contrast on that. It's real sharp, real good. So you got glossy. It is like it's still wet. But that's why I use that tester. It's actually already dry. It's actually already dry. It just looks wet. It's not 100% dry, but it's mostly dry already. And it looks wet. So that's why I use that. So anyway, I'm just going to do the other 3 sides. And that's how you do that, man. I just wanted to do a little airbrush demo. And you see it's not a lot to it. But I do have, I've done really meticulous work with that same airbrush and using brushwork as well as the airbrush on there. And I'll show you some of the more meticulous stuff that I have done with that. I've done big murals, little small paintings, you know. So I'll show some of those here as we go out, and then you can see this is really nothing. You know, anybody who airbrushes the little characters on the t-shirts will say, well, he didn't do nothing. He just sprayed the little black on there. That's nothing. So I'll show you some of the other stuff so you can see what you really can get into once you get into just this little thing here, just this little airbrush. Once you get into that, and you got the compressor down here. I don't know if you can see that. Just a little, see if I can show you. There, just a little compressor, man. This is a little, maybe $50 compressor, something like that, you know. And you know, it's, you know, like I said, this is as old as the airbrush. I got them at the same time. But it's little stuff like that, you know. You get it. If it works, you know, you use it. And if it's good, you keep it. So that's that. And I'll show you some of the other work, airbrush work that I've done, and you can start to get into that. You know, see if you like it, try it, man. Get you one, try it. Mine is a Pache. They got, I don't know what there's really only 2 real big ones when I got this one, Pache and Badger. But the one, I have another one earmarked to pick up here soon at some point in the near future. It's an Iwata, and that one's like upper echelon, man. It's up there, you know. Does a lot more finer work than this, but this thing here has been a workhorse, and you know, I've had it forever, and it's taken a lot of abuse, as you can see how dirty it is and stuff, and this thing still works and is able to do crystal clean work like that, you know. So that's why you know, I still use it, man. You know, I'm not getting rid of it. Even if I buy another one, I'm gonna always have that one. So anyway, there you go. Here's some of the other work.
Have you heard of Grandma?
Yeah, hey, yeah, look, can you stay down? Keep it 100 with me now. It's shit cause all my money, you want me to stick around when you ride. When I'm down and time is running out. If you bound, I'm bound as long as you can hold it down. Keep it 100 with me now. It's shit cause all my money, you want me to stick around when you ride. When I'm down and time is running out. If you bound, I'm bound as long as you can hold it down. I'm feeling paranoid, that's what I feel. Lately I've been thinking nobody around me real. I've been moving fast ever since I signed a deal. Got the game real high, but now it seems like they're depending on me. What they expecting from me? Like everybody wanna win, but ain't nobody pulling weight. Well, I've been on my grind, shit, I ain't never miss a day. When you need me, I be on time. When I need you, you coming late, like what the fuck? Didn't help when I was broke, but now I'm getting paid, so you calling me a bro. What about the times I was standing in the cold? You was comfy in your home, if you with me, gotta know. Can you stay down? Keep it 100 with me now. It's it cause all my money, you want me to stick around when you ride. When I'm down and time is running out, if you bound, I'm bound as long as you can hold it down. Keep it 100 with me now. It's it cause all my money, you want me to stick around when you ride. When I'm down and time is running out, if you bound, I'm bound as long as you can hold it down. Go for women too, cause I'm so sick of you. You never.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Yep, so there it is. It is finished and complete, and you probably have no idea what you're looking at. This is a curing station. This is an ultraviolet curing station, all right, for 3D objects. That still probably doesn't make any sense. All right, so let me set the camera up. Okay, so what we have here, let me get a little height on here. In order to explain this and for you to understand it, I have to first go in and show you, I guess it'll be easier to show you what it does and then explain how it fits into the equation. So there's another reveal here for that, which is this bad boy over here. Yeah, we got two reveals today. All right. So this here is ta-da! This is one of the largest 3D printers on the market. All right, that's what you're looking at here. You move around a little bit so you can kind of see, and again, you can get an idea of the size. This is a 3D printer, and I'll give you a look inside because it's actually printing something now. Okay, that's what it looks like when you open it up. Okay, turn the light on here. And it's actually printing. So this platform, underneath it is the printed object stuck to it. Okay, so close this back up. And it's down inside of a vat of liquid, and there's a laser underneath that burns the shape of the object into the liquid, which sticks to the platform. Platform raises up and lifts the object up out of the liquid. So it's almost like being born type of a deal. Okay, so this here, when you print something, has to be dried. You have to dry it. And that's basically what this is. It's a curing station. So it dries the objects when they come out of the printer. Okay, so get a good angle on here. Like that there. All right. So I have it set up in such a way that it can be picked up. So on the side here, you probably can't see it. Here's handholds over here. These handles are to lift it. It's heavy as hell. These are the boards that you saw me staining in the workshop. That's what the boards are. You see them now all put together. Okay. These locks open. And I put locks on there. If anybody comes in and is messing around or whatever in here, I'd have it locked and they wouldn't be able to open it because the ultraviolet light that's inside of here is actually very dangerous. These are not toys. This is real stuff. And the liquid that's in there is toxic. The ultraviolet rays in here can burn your skin or blind you. This is actually real stuff now. When you get into production, you're dealing with the real, and you can lose body parts, go blind, you can poison yourself, all of that. You can inhale the vapors and end up, I don't know, maybe falling unconscious or something. Anything can happen. So this is real stuff. So let's start, I guess we'll start from the bottom up. So this here is actually a little hatch. This opens, and I made it into like a little drawbridge. Put the little chains on there, see? And you can kind of see inside. And it's just a little maintenance hatch in case wires or cables that need to be moved around, and I can reach an arm back up in here and rearrange things or do what I need to do with it. And so that's just a little maintenance hatch. This is a speed and power control for what's inside of here, okay? So inside, we open this up, and there's the inside. There's nothing in there right now. I have a knob. You see the handle here and a knob on the other side. And the purpose of it is to keep you never have to touch the actual wood. So you can use that knob and open this all the way up. Rest that back like there. Now this is open, okay? I put all of this together. Every mirror, these are mirrors in the back there. You see the UV light at the top, and everything had to be put together bit by bit, one piece at a time. And this is where this knob comes in at the speed control. All right. So then you have this can rotate. And it goes fast, or it can go slow. So if you have a 3D object or something that you printed, I actually printed this. This came out of there. Kind of get a good look at it here. It's actually got like a little gloss to it. It's a nice little product. It's actually just feels like plastic. Can't get it a clear shot. But so if you would print that out, you would set that up there, and then this allows this to rotate and dry, and it's sitting on top of a mirror platform, reflects the UVs back up on, so it can cook on the bottom and also dry out on the top. So And then this also opens all the way up if there's some purpose or reason that you need to have access to the full range of space. You can open that all the way up. See how that goes? All right. And I installed a brace here. This is a little bracing platform. All of this was cut from just separate planks of wood, spray painted, protected with a polyurethane spray. That's why you got like a little glossy glaze on there. See that? So that's what all of this is. Okay. And these handles here on the top, you got one here and one here. And the purpose of those is that here, if you can see it, you have a latch. See, that opens. There's another one back here. That opens. There's two more on the side here. You can get a look at how they look. You can kind of see them a little bit. And then this opens. Let me turn on the light. See? And then this opens like this. See? And then this one back here. And also, these latch hooks can also open. This is brass. These hook in. So the purpose of it is this whole top lifts up off of here, and you would just have the base with the turntable there. All right. And this whole top can just come off now. Okay. And I'll show you this. These metal bars, these are brass bars that I purchased that they look a mess. It's just molted brass. And I use those in here. So you can see them here, and sanded them down, ground them down. Let me see if I might even be able to lift that top off of there and show you. All right. So give me a second. All right, so that you can see now that's off. So now you just have the base and the turntable with the mirror platform, okay? And this is just a glass stand. It just lifts up the objects closer to the light so that they dry faster. So these brass bars, shapes, are what the other one was. So you can see they're polished. See, they look nice. They're mounted down. It's like a mirror finish on the back side. You can see its reflection there. Okay. So you got one there, one there. See how they got like a nice little curve to it. Okay. One back there and one back there. And what happens when you put the lid on, it hits these curves and it pushes it and lines it up with this brass liner. And what this does is it keeps the lid from resting directly on the wood. So you have metal on metal, which won't wear out and tear out gouges in the wood and make it look ugly after a little while. That brass will hold up. This thing will last, you know, forever. Till the wood just decays and falls apart. So you can see the airbrush highlights, dark on the outside, light on the inside. That's like what they call a sunburst pattern. And this also everything can be disassembled. This comes off, all of this comes apart. And that's what the maintenance store is for, to be able to reach in there without having to take it all apart. Okay, so, but one thing I did want to show you is when I put this together, it was put together with the understanding that some of these parts weren't going to fit together properly. When I first got all of this stuff, I had things coming from Home Depot. I had things coming from these hinges here. These hinges are from India. Okay. The handles are from China. You know, so the wood from Home Depot. You know, all of this stuff is the airbrush. See the bevel on there and the airbrush. All of this airbrush came from when I graduated high school. I've had that airbrush forever, and it still does really, really good work. So this is really a conglomeration of products that I've just had. Some of it's new, some of it's old, but wanted to show this because this is really interesting. So you can take this mirror off. This is just mirror. This table comes off. You just lift it right off, just lifts up. All right. And you have a hub under here. You see this hub. Okay, and it's got a little notch. You can see it's not a perfect circle. It's got a little notch in there, see? And so there's a motor inside of here. And if I lift it up, you'll be able to see the motor. Let me see if I can do that. This comes off, this bottom platform just lifts up. And I mounted little feet on the bottom there. See? These are just little pieces of wood that I just cut. Actually, this was from a square, and I cut it into a circle, painted the edges. All right. You got this. This is a Lazy Susan turnstile here. Okay. And ironically, it's kind of interesting. The wood itself, this wood here, this platform, and also this top platform. See, these are actually just butcher's blocks. You're supposed to actually just take and put a lump of meat on here and cut it up. That's all this is. And then instead I used it as a turntable for my ultraviolet 3D curing station. Okay. Took something that simple and turned it into the latest in technology, because 3D printing is a brand new technology. It's only been out, I don't know, maybe 10 years, something like that. But what I wanted to show you, see, here's the motor. You got to unlatch these brass hooks I showed you. Okay, so the motor, this just sits on top. And then there's the motor mounted to the bottom. All right. And you can actually see inside of here. It's really nothing inside, but those little stands there, see that those little black stands, that's actually just, see if you can get that one in the back there. You can almost kind of see it. That's actually just PVC pipe. Let me see if I can turn this light on. No, I can't. It's just PVC pipe. See? Same pipe you use in your toilets in your bathroom, and I took and put stands on the bottom and the top of it and use it as an extra support for the lid because the motor is so heavy. I didn't want it to pull the lid down until it got like an indentation or something in there, pulled it and warped it. So I put those stands in there to help support it up. And I made this brace in here to make it a little stronger. And the spindle for the motor actually didn't fit that hub. the spindle is too narrow for that opening here. So when I put it in, it was just flopping around and it wouldn't spin. It was just spinning inside, and it wasn't catching in this hole. It wasn't catching. It was not. It was just too. The hole was too big. This little spindle is too narrow. You can see how narrow that is. So it wasn't doing anything. So I knew that I was going to have to use the 3D printer to print an adapter to make this to be a way to adapt from this to this to make it fit. And so I printed an adapter. Well, I actually started out with different sizes, and that's what this is. So I knew the shape that I was going to have, but this was obviously way too big. But when I first started trying to design it, I got the design right, but I couldn't get the size right because the software, the 3D software, was in inches, and then the printer only uses metrics. So, if you're looking for a 1/2 inch, how many millimeters is a 1/2 inch? This only recognizes millimeters. So if you had a 1/2 inch, how do you program this to print a 1/2 inch in millimeters? And so I had to start doing conversions and getting into all of that. And it's really, really detailed and scientific. But so I ended up doing trial and error and printing different sizes, bigger and smaller, until I finally got down to one that fit. So I started out with something this size, and I ended up getting it down to this. Started like that and ended up with this. Okay. And this worked. It took 7, 8, 9 different attempts, and I actually got this to work, and it fits perfectly on here now. Perfect fit, and it's a perfect fit here. See, it can't turn because it's got that little notch. That little notch fits right in that little key section perfectly. All right, and the spindle fits perfectly inside. So I built all of this and then printed an adapter to make it match with this hub. And this hub was originally designed for go-karts. So this is what you would put on a go-kart, and then the axle from the wheel goes through here. This is supposed to be on a go-kart wheel, for a little go-kart racing, and then that's where your axle goes for the wheel. So so I used a little hub off of a go-kart. I ordered that. I didn't get it off of a go-kart. It was for that though. It's got it off of Amazon, and this is just a butcher's block. This is just wood from Home Depot. You can get hunks of brass off the internet for $9 or $10 for a hunk of brass. And the motor came from China. And so I just took and got all these little pieces and put it together into something really cool. So you can see now it's all tore apart, and the whole thing just breaks down into nothing, just component pieces and parts. So there you go. You can see the handle here, and this is actually really heavy. The lid is not that heavy, but it's heavier than I thought it would be. But when you put it all back together, it's heavy. By the time I brought this up from the workshop and got it all the way upstairs into this is now the fabrication room, I was out of breath. It's really heavy. So anyway, so there you go. That's the ultraviolet curing station, disassembled, torn apart. And I'm gonna do another video showcasing the 3D printer, and that's coming here pretty soon. It's gonna be probably right after this. All right, and then I'll show you the whole room, but this is just for the station itself. So that's why I say I want you guys to build a box. If I can do all of that with just a butcher's block and some wood from Home Depot, you should we want a black nation, we want to have something for ourselves down the road, then you need to be able to do. This is just a little small project. These are little things, but it still took me 6 or 7 months to do it. But if you want something for yourself, you got to be able to do stuff like this. And I needed this. I needed the adapter. I needed the printer. So whatever you need, this is how you do it. You get up and you go get what you need, and you build it. So if you can't build it, then you can't say we need this or we need that. We need a black nation. If you can't build it, you can't have it. And that's how it goes. So there you go. Peace. I wanted to show what this looked like with the light off. I got it back together, and this is what it looks like. I wanted to show the mirror array in there and how the light, the ultraviolet rays, are supposed to just bounce off all those mirrors and be able to dry the product from every angle. And so these are the mirrors. Each and every mirror had to be glued on one piece at a time. Try to line it up so that they line, try to put them on so they line up so it looks good. And that's what it looks like. That's the light up at the top. That's the ultraviolet projector. And I got it connected to a remote switch that this way I can hit the button and just turn it on just by hitting the button there. And that's what it looks like. You see some drying pieces on there from previous experimentation. But that's what it looks like when it's running. And then you just turn it off, and there you go. Just close the lid, and you can shut it down for the night. So that's how that goes. All right. Okay, so we're back out here. This was the new workbench. You can't even see it now, but it's all buried under tools and equipment, and you see all my bags, shopping bags and stuff here. This was the man. You see, I stay over at Home Depot. I'm so tired of going down there, but you got to go down there. That's where they got the tools and stuff at, and you see all my drill bits and glue, and just over here on the floor is the router and the jigsaw and the power drill, and it's just a lot. But they have everything that I need, and it's right around the corner, so I go down there all the time. But here's what I had built so far. All right, this is where, get the light over here, and this is what the bottom portion of that looks like. There we go. This is the bottom half. This is what all that wood looked like once it was all finally put together. Try to get a good light on it here, so it's not just bleached out. There, that's, I guess, kind of good. All right, so, but you can see the colors on here. It's like a redwood stain effect type of deal. We got bronze gilded hinges, airbrush effects on the bottom. You see we got a bottom platform here that the whole structure is sitting on. Okay, we got crystal knob. All right, and then that actually opens. It's got the little drawbridge effect there. Okay, and it's got a flat magnet. All right, that connects to and holds it in. This is going to have another little element in there, which you'll see later. But then if we look on the inside, you see the drawbridge actually goes through these little kind of hoops that are bolted to the inside. And so we close that. And I have a crossbar here for support. And I just kind of added that in just to give this a little extra, just, you know, something to hold the chains. It was either that, because you see how long the chain is. So we had to come up with a way to take up the extra slack in the chain and to hold it at the desired distance. You know, when it opens, I want that chain to actually hold it, you know. So I put a crossbar in here to take up the extra slack. And so that worked. And so this has 4 kind of braces, triangular braces that hold that in on the corners. Those are bolted down. I didn't use glue all around it because you never know, there may be reason to take it back apart or something, you know, for some reason or whatever. So I may need to open it back up. I may need to take that off. Maybe something gets damaged, and I can always take that wall off and put a new one in there. But if it's glued, when you take it off, you're going to rip all the wood out. You're going to, this whole bottom section is going to be torn apart with the wood glue. So I just left it with bolts. But some of the bolts do have wood glue in there, in the actual bolt, in the hole itself, just to make it more stable. This here you see has a hole drilled through the back. It's for cords to run through. Okay, so, and then on the other side, you see that's got more, see if we can get around there, more effects on the side there. All right, and more effects on this side, which you probably can't see. They actually go all the way around. So there you go. Just like black paint along the trim there, along the edge. And then the magnet is actually mounted. I had to make that little piece to mount the magnet on. So it kind of hangs down. See how that piece hangs down? It's got the magnet embedded into it. And then that just grabs on. You can actually see I put a little piece of wood over the magnet because it was too strong. Once you close it, you almost had to break the damn thing to get it back open again. But with that piece of wood over there, it actually absorbs enough of the magnetism, blocks it, so that it closes easy and opens with minimum effort, which is what I wanted. I don't need it holding it like where you gotta almost break it to pull it out. So that works. And the little hinges there, see if you can get a look on those. And I just thought those were really beautiful. It was a tight fit. I didn't know if they were going to fit, but they barely made it, and they did fit, and so that works. So there you go. And you see the airbrush effects on the bottom. Now on this top part, so this is the bottom level here, and then there's a layer for that. And I'll show you that here in a second. Okay, so here's the top piece. You can see that's got a nice glaze on there. That's all done. This sits on top of it. Okay, and you see that's got all the airbrush effects on there as well. It's got like a nice sunburst pattern. That's what they call that, like a sunburst pattern in there. All right, and then underneath it, you see there's holes partially drilled in there. And then there's an X there because there's another hole that's going to be drilled through on that X. That X represents the center of this entire board. So there's going to be a hole right there where the X marks the spot. But on this, you might not have noticed it. It's real subtle. But there's these little studs that I have sticking up there, okay? And the purpose for that, and there's 2 more on the other side. All right, you can't see the other one because I actually got black paint on it, so it's black like the trim. But those studs match, they synchronize with these pre-drilled black holes. So when I go to put that back together, all I have to do is match up the studs with those holes, and it kind of just locks right into place. Might have it backwards. There you go. So that locks in. I had it backwards. See, now that's in there. That's matched up. Okay. And then the next part goes up here. And then there's a whole nother section for that. Okay. And I actually have that section. So let me see if I can get that. It's not done, but you can see what's started on it. Okay, so now here we have the top section ready to go. Check this out. And then there you go. All right, so that's what it's basically gonna look like when it's done. And then there's something that goes in here and in here, and then there's a segmented door that's going to go across that and fold over that. And then I've got some trim. You see how that trim is up there, and that's got a nice, actually nice little gloss on it there too. Can't quite see it. Yeah, there you go. So that's all glossed up and shiny and new looking. You see how that is inside. Same thing there. Okay, we got the black trim again, going all the way around, also on this part back here in the back, black trim up on top. We've got hinges, L brackets going across the sides there. This is not going to be bolted to this bottom because this whole thing needs to be able to be taken apart for various reasons. All right, so that's what that's gonna basically look like. So you can get like a little side shot there. All right, and you can see it's pretty big. So that's that. So that's yeah, I had to put that crossbar in there because once I had put the L brackets, these sides came out, but they kind of wavered in any direction, and there was no way to guarantee equal distance between that part back there and then the front segment up here. This front segment was a little too close. That back segment was too wide open. And then when I tried to put the lid section in there, it didn't fit. So this bracket, and also this bracket here, this one is cylindrical. It's like a little cylinder that goes all the way across. And then I have a single nail that is right there that goes through, punches through, and locks that in place. So that can't go anywhere. That's locked in. And then you just have to hammer it in until the sides close in on that cylinder, and that locks it in place. Same thing with this one, but this one has two holes holding it in, two nails holding it in, top and the bottom. All right, so that's how that one worked. A little wood on there. So yeah, so we're moving along with it. Now all of this again was cut from just a big slat of wood, a big board that was about maybe bigger than 24 by 36. I forget the size of it, but it was, like maybe 3 feet by 2 feet or something like that. So all of these pieces had to be drawn out in pencil, measured out, cut on my table saw, which, good luck getting straight, even, perfect 90-degree cuts on a $125 table saw. But, I managed. So there was, like I said, there's a few little variations in there that I had to fix. There's just little small 1/16 of an inch type mismeasurements here and there. It's not that it was mismeasured, but it was miscut. When you can't get it perfectly 100% straight on unless you have guides, and even my guides are just a little wobbly here and there. So I just don't have the $1,000 worth of equipment, $2,000-3,000 per piece of equipment, to get those exact precise laser cuts every single time. So I'm just not there yet, but eventually, but who knows how long I'll be doing this kind of stuff. So then you go and spend $5,000-7,000 on stuff like this, and then you use it like 5, 6, 7 times because you're to a point where you don't need to build stuff like this anymore. So once the necessity for this is done, I won't need it, So, but anyway, we assume we won't need it, but who knows? I may always be building something. I'm always building on something. But that's the side of it there. I left the knots in there, the wood knots in there. I just thought they looked really good and put the glaze over them and stuff. So that's what that is coming to be. And at this point now, I'm doing the lid to go. That's where I'm at now, is I'm doing the lid for this. And these edges are already done. I just have to bolt those into place with those nails like I did those. And I have a nice little nail gun for that, if I can find it. I think it's buried. Here we go. Just to show you. So this is the nail gun. And you put that up where you want it, pull the trigger, and it hammers. I mean, it bam, it pops a nail through there with a lot of force. It really nails it through there. So you got to be careful, because if it's real thin, fragile wood, it'll split it. It'll just split it right down the middle, But and this wood isn't the best. I wanted a kind of a lighter weight wood, which when you get lighter weight, you sacrifice durability, So it may not be the best wood, which is why I wanted to make sure everything was stained to add to the make it more waterproof, not waterproof, but proof to humidity and moisture and stuff to some degree, just to give it a little bit more resistance to humidity and moisture in the air. So that's why you want to put, that's what stain and all of that is for. You can get it where it's UV proof, ultraviolet proof, resistance, moisture resistance, that kind of a thing. And then you put all those different chemicals on there, you spray it down. And then when you have a moist atmosphere, damp atmosphere, humid atmosphere, stuff like that, your wood doesn't start to warp or bend in or lean down in any direction, especially if you have braces and stuff in there. Granted, the braces are made out of the same kind of wood, so those could warp too real easy. But you could also get a metal strip and bolt it to the back of it, and then that's another way to ensure that it stays, that it doesn't start to buckle, or bend or whatever. Get a metal brace back there. Just little stuff like that, man. You can really keep working on this stuff forever, and keep adding to it and modifying it, and so. But at some point, you got to call it done. This is not going to be outside. It's going to be upstairs in another little studio room. But that's where it's at right now. And the door, I can show you that. These are more reinforcement pieces that are going to go the hinge is going to mount to these. This is actually a different type of wood than this. This is a really kind of a stronger, I don't even know what kind. I don't know if it's oak or pine, but it's a lot stronger than this. But it's also a lot more expensive. So I just need this to reinforce pressure points where it's going to be pressure, opening and closing the lid with these hinges. So the hinges are pretty heavy duty. So here's the hinges here. These are actually cabinet hinges. See what I'm saying? You go and get stuff that matches what you need. It may not be what it's designed for, but you get what you need. And these are so hard to open that I can't do it with one hand, But, if you open a cabinet and you see how it kind of pops open half the way, that's what these do. And the purpose of it is once I open it, I want it to stay open while I'm doing stuff inside. Then I can close it back. And I want it to stay closed when I close it. So that's what these, you need a little bit stronger hinge for that. But the drawback is if it's too strong, you can break the lid trying to open it. And so that's what these reinforcements are for. So you mount these down and then mount the hinge to that. Now these I will use wood glue on. You see I already got the nail halfway through, the screw halfway through, and I will put wood glue on the back of that because these have no reason to ever come off again once they're on. You see I already got the marker on there where the holes are going to be drilled. So that's already done. So here's the lid. So the lid's done. All right, and then that'll go up here like this. See? Just like that. And then I got another two more hinges that are just real loose. You can just wobble them. Real loose hinges that'll go here and here. And then that's that segment that I showed you in the other room. Will come down off of here and block off this front with those side strips. And so then the structure itself will be complete. And then all I have to do is get that hole drilled in the middle under that X where I showed you the X and actually start putting the innards in there so that it can do what it was made to do. But that's it. So, we're getting there. It's a long project. This wood is warped. You can see where it's a little warped. I wasn't going to use this piece, but actually what happened was the original lid that I had for it was not cut exactly right to fit that. Because like I said, this is not a perfect 90-degree cut here and a 90-degree cut off of here. These didn't quite exactly fit perfectly square. So when I put the lid in there that was cut perfectly square, it didn't fit in there. It was touching in the back, and I couldn't get it to set like that, to set flush like that. All right, it was banging on the top over there. It was rubbing it. So I tried to cut it to fit, and then I cut it too close, and the whole thing was just out of whacked in, and one side was way cut off. So I had to throw that out and get a whole another piece of wood. Tried it again. This time I actually cut the imperfection into the wood, and this time it actually worked perfectly, as you can see. And it looks like it's perfectly straight, perfectly 90-degree angles on there and everything, but it's actually a slight 1/16 of an inch off back here, and then it comes back into proper measurement up here. But back there, it's actually off a little bit, but for the device, it actually looks perfect. Interestingly enough, it's almost impossible to get perfect 90-degree angles in your home and other things that you're building because of the fact that you're always going to have a human factor, errors. Something moved a little bit while you were sliding it through there. It's almost impossible to get perfect 90-degree laser sharp cuts. And that's why they started using lasers, because in programming it into the computer, and then the computer can cut perfect every single time, perfectly straight, perfectly 90-degree angles on there. Computers can do that. Humans can't. So we have to make allowances for our imperfections, but that's So that's got a little bit of a bow in this other piece of wood, which originally was just a scrap piece of wood. And I just had it leaning up against something, so it's got a bow. But once I put these braces on there and attach the hinge to it, the brace, which does not have a bow, will pull that back into shape. So it's that kind of stuff that you want to take into account when you're doing stuff like this. And I had to sand this off 2 or 3 times. I don't know if I was just getting upset and frustrated with it, but the stain wasn't coming out right. The gloss on there wasn't coming out right. And I kept sanding it back down and redoing it. And I finally got it right. So that's where this is. Actually, I think this goes, yeah, the other way. It goes like that. Upside down. There we go. So it still has a bow, but it's actually bends up instead of down. See, so, but yeah, that brace will pull that down and even that out. And then there will be another brace, which I hadn't planned on making, but I'm going to put another brace under the front edge here, and that'll clean it up. So that's it. That's where we're at right now. So we're making a lot of progress, and next time you see it, it might be completely done. So we'll see how far I can get. All right. I think that's it. I think, I should give a little tutorial at some point on reading, because this is actually what I've been using for all of this. It's just this little flimsy tape measure. I've been using this for everything because it's actually very accurate. And, but a lot of people don't know how to read the tape measures and what each notch means. Now these are inches, and then on the other side, you got your centimeters and such. But I don't do the European measurement system. I guess it's all European measurement systems, but dealing with the inches and stuff is really kind of all I've been using. And, actually the metric system is more accurate, because you can see how much tighter the marks are on there, as opposed to the inches, which have kind of big gaps in there. The metric system is a lot tighter than than our American standard. But so if you need that kind of exact precision, then you'd probably want to start using the metric system, learn how to use that. Millimeters, centimeters, start learning how to read in that. But anyway, I might do a video just on how to read this. So these are Eden skills, man. This is why it's called Project Eden Skills, because Eden being the beginning, I explained this before, Eden being the beginning, in the beginning of anything, you need skills. So a lot of black people were talking about wanting to build a black nation, but they don't have the skills. Most people can't even read a tape measure, and a half inch, they don't know an inch from a half inch, from a quarter inch to a 1/16 of an inch. And, they don't know that. They've never needed to use it. But if you don't know that, you can't build anything. All right. So that's why this is called Project Eden Skills. It's the skills that you need to start anything. Eden being the beginning. All right. So actually it wasn't, but we're not going into all of that. So I'm trying to start people off with, trying to just show the brothers, some skill sets, and what you can do once you start to get into using your jigsaw and your power drill and your table saw and, Dremels and stuff. This is another part of it. Let me just show this real quick. I wasn't going to go into this, but so you can't tell what this is. And it's called a keyway, essentially. And I don't want to go into all of what it is, because it's a whole nother video. But it's basically just a little rectangular piece of metal that you can see there. And I had another one that was smaller than this. So you can see how much smaller that is. It actually goes kind of more like this. Take it back there. So the other one is almost twice as long as this one. All right. So I want to cut that in half because what I'm using them for, again, is an unorthodox purpose. These hinges, as you can see, if you look at it, again, these little mounts don't go at a 90-degree angle. If you put that mount flat, you see the other mount actually has a tilt to it. The vertical mount, this one, has a angle to it. It doesn't go perfectly up and down at a 90-degree angle from the top. So the top will be straight. This one goes in at an angle. So if you try to mount it to the wood, you see how that it works with the bend, but once I straighten that bend out, it won't work. You know, it'll be off a little bit. So in order to get it at a 90-degree angle, I take and put one of those little metal pieces in here, just wedge it right between there. And so what happens then, let me see if I can do it. Okay, so I have one of those little metal squares jammed in there now. So it's underneath, it kind of pushes. So this rests on that now. It acts like as a stopper. So again, when you're building things, you want to get hold of anything you can to accomplish your goals. And I'm just going to get some mounting glue and glue that to this so that it can open and close. But when it goes to close, it'll hit that stopper. I'm going to use it as a stopper. Okay. And so now if we look at it, let's say if we go like that. So you see how that's perfect 90-degree angle now. Still got that, obviously, a bend in the lid. If we use that rod there, see, that's perfect flush. Now we got the angle we need. See, now it's a perfectly flat mount. So that's what I was looking for. And this was the perfect size to take up that extra slack. If I take that out, this will lay all the way up against this surface here, which is what I don't want. I need it to be flat. So this makes it work. So I actually ordered some of these. They're just called keyways. And so they just came today. And it works. So I'm going to mount that down. And then I can keep working on the lid and installing the reinforcements back there. And so I just wanted to show you. So in order to get the other one cut down, you know, how do you cut a hunk of metal like that? So I got it in the vice grips. All right. This is probably going to be blurry because let me see if I can. That's a little clearer, maybe a little bit. But I have a Dremel, and the Dremel is specifically designed for stuff like this, cutting through locks and metal pieces and stuff. And that right over here, that's why everything's a mess, because I got everything kind of right at hand. And anytime you do that, it makes it a mess. So this cutter here is made for metal. And you turn it on. And then that rotates, that spins. And you can cut through nails, screws, bolts, almost anything you want with that cutter. This is the actual cutter, and it's not sharp, but it's got a really kind of hardcore sanding surface to it, you know, so that, you know, it's actually a little bit flexible, you know, but when you put that edge on something, it doesn't flex, and it'll cut through almost anything, plastic, steel, whatever. And so I'm going to hold that. That's why I have it in vice grips, because once you start cutting it, it heats up and it's shooting sparks everywhere, man. You know, sparks flying out of there. So I'm going to cut this the same size as the other one, and then use it on the second hinge, and then mount those down with like a glue. I have a real heavy duty JB Weld type mixture. It's a JB Weld glue. And there's all kinds of different ones of JB Weld. You know, it's all kinds of different stuff. So I'm going to use that to mount that to the metal, because there's almost nothing else that will hold two pieces of metal together except welding them. But that stuff will do it. So that's what this is going to be. Cut this in half, put it underneath that other hinge, and then bolt those down, and then start working on this front section. And the foundation of this will be pretty much done, and then we just start working on the interiors and stuff. So that's where we're at. Just want to give you a brief overview. I've been using everything, man. Sanders. I got a circular sander over there. That's a square sander. Router. That's just a handheld light. That's a power drill, jigsaw. Table saw is back behind me. So yeah, paint thinner back there, nail gun, Dremel, you know, a utility blade. This is an L bracket to help you to establish 90-degree angles. So you hold that up on there and see if you got a 90-degree angle. See? And that's how you can tell if you got a 90-degree angle. That's what that's for. All right. And it's also got a built-in ruler on there. You see the little ruler notches. So yeah, man, you want to Project Eden skills, man. You want to build something. That's how you do it. You know, you need just your tools, and, you know, you need your different glues for different purposes. And that's a standard wood glue. The other one fell down on the floor, but that's a ultimate wood glue, which is waterproof. And you got your titanium drill bits over here. You know, yeah, man, you want to build something, you got to get, this is a T-square. A lot of people don't know, have never used one, don't know what it is, and don't pay this stuff any attention. But again, you know, anytime you want to do something, you got to get the right tools. Mine's covered with paint and stuff. I just never bothered to clean it off. But this is a T-square. And the purpose of this is to square up your projects and stuff. So you can put it across there, and then that'll give you your 90-degree angle according to the, you know, that it'll 90-degree angle whatever I need to put across here according to the angle of what I'm holding it up against. So if I tilt this board, then mount it to something else. If I had it tilted like that and I had the other board on there, then it would be 90 degrees going at a tilt, but it would be 90 degrees according to whatever is lined up with that edge. And so it would be tilted from our perspective, but it would be 90 degrees according to whatever is measured up on that edge. So that's what a T-square is for. Help you get 90-degree angles on your stuff. So I've had this thing since, it's 24 inches long. I've had this thing since the 90s, and I still have it. I still use it quite regularly. And it gets in the way because it's a big 24-inch hunk of metal that if it'll scratch stuff. If you bang it on something, it'll punch a hole through a door if you bang it on there too hard, you know. So it gets in the way of things, but it's mandatory. Now, I showed you the airbrush effects on here. I could not record those while I was doing this because I needed to focus and concentrate to get that effect. And especially on these, to get the effect of, we see it doesn't gradate. That had to be masked off to get it where the paint only hits the edge but doesn't get to the surface. This, the paint hits the edge, and I wanted it to fade out into the top surface. So two totally different techniques. So I'm going to do a separate video and show how to airbrush and, you know, what it takes to get these kinds of effects. And so anybody that's also, then you have the little fire effect down at the bottom. That's a different type of technique. All right. So this is ugly, but it's just sawdust. See? So yeah, you on camera, man. Get yourself together. Come on now. So yeah, so that's what these I'll do a separate video with some scrap wood and show you how to airbrush. The airbrush I'm using, I actually got that back all the way back in the late 80s. I've had that thing forever, but I, keep it clean. I try to take care of it, and you see it still does good work. So take care of your stuff, and you can do whatever you want to do with it. So anyway, that's that. And next time you see this, we'll see how far I can get. All right, catch y'all later.